of playing video games, we're going to be doing a tabletop role-playing game called Werewolf the Forsaken, which is part of the Chronicles of Darkness line from Onyx Path. Our storyteller today is actually one of the writers, one of the prominent writers for Werewolf the Forsaken, Mr. Chris Allen. Joining us as players, we've got Keith Miller and Pete Golasevsky, who are both members of the Paleo Gaming community. I'm going to let Chris take it away now for some just lead-in stuff so that you guys know a little bit about the game and about what we're going to be doing. So why don't you take it away, Chris?
Okay, hopefully I'm transmitting through loud and clear. So I'm Chris Allen. I wrote and since developed chunks of the Forsaken line. Oh, we've just lost somebody. Not the most auspicious start.
Looks like Pete dropped out for a minute.
Yeah. Well, here he is. He's back.
Oh, there we go.
Our Raka is disappearing already.
Yeah, there you go. That's stealth for you. Yeah, so we are a bit of a surprise stream on Dan's channel. I asked whether we could stream or record it because there aren't a lot of examples of Forsaken actual play out there. He's very kindly agreed to stream it. Yes, the Araka is back. Good. And a little bit of blurb going in. Werewolf the Forsaken is a Chronicles of Darkness horror game. It is a modern horror where the characters play werewolves. So a slight warning going in that although I don't think it's necessarily going to come up in today's session, the game is a game of savage fury, body horror, and occult paranoia. So in werewolf games, people tend to die quite messily and viscerally. Horrible things happen to people. They mutate, twist, or have their brains eaten and piloted by spiders. It's a horror game. It's a body horror game as well. So it's a warning anyone going in. It could get, at some point, quite messy. And the other thing is that myself, I've got 2 small kids in a very small flat. I know Dan's got a little one. Everyone's got significant others and the like. So there may be some interruptions, some noises in the background. That's just part of life. You know, we're not going to do anything about that. We're all living our lives as well as streaming, and that's pretty important. So apologies if it gets too disruptive, but it is what it is. So we've done the character gen. We've done a little bit of the session 0. Well, we've done session 0, why the characters are where they are, how they've gotten to be where they are, and the setup going in. So the name of this story is simply The Hunt. The game everyone's called Very Angry Dogs because I am deeply uninspired. As a reminder to the players, in terms of pacing of powers, if you have once per story powers, The Hunt is a story, so the whole thing is one story. Once per story is once per thing. Once per chapter is once per session, essentially. And things like once per scene powers, I presume you're familiar with all that already. You don't have a lot of powers like that, but just in case you do, and you're like, what is once per chapter or what is once per story? That's the kind of frequency we're talking about. Before I do launch into it then, any last questions, queries, or anything we need to cover from any of the players?
No, I think I'm good.
Nope, I think I'm good.
Now, I'm going to do a quick roll call, so I'm going to get this wrong a lot at the start. So, Keith, your character's name is Jack, am I right?
Correct.
Yes, we've got Jack. Pete is playing Johnny Galloway, and Dan is playing Bill, or Thornbreaker, is that his deed name? I don't know if the other 2 have deed names, but he's, yeah. A lot of the starting point is there's going to be a lot of human interaction, so it's good to know who your character's called in human society, so you don't introduce yourself down the supermarket as Thornbreaker, Destroyer of Aslu, for example.
It's 2020, Chris. Don't identify me, man.
What you want. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If you're ready, then we'll get cracking.
Absolutely.
Where we're going to start the Chronicle, it is spring. I'm not going to nominate a specific year for this. So it's not going to be 2020. I don't want to have to deal with fucking coronavirus in Wales, right?
I think we're all tired of coronavirus. That's why we're doing
Contagion Chronicle, Chris? Contagion?
Well, yeah, that'd be quite suitable. But I'm
not saying you guys caused it. I'm just saying it was coincident with the release. So
yeah, quite unfortunate that. So it's sometime in the last. It's in the last couple of years, zeitgeist kind of style. And but other than that, is not. I have a tiny baby cooing at me. It is spring, and being spring in the UK, the weather is essentially random on a day-to-day basis. But at the moment, it is pissing it down, pouring with rain. The story begins in Lanford Forum. Lanford Forum is a small town in Dorset, one of the southern counties of England. Dorset is a strange place by British standards. It has, I believe, no motorways in it, no cities. For a long time, it was considered a rural backwater. Now it's considered more of a bucolic ideal of British countryside because, unlike so much of the country, it's not that it's untouched by the progress of modern times, so much as it is it's become quite an affluent area while still maintaining much of the old agricultural style, the old buildings, and the lack of intrusion from intense urbanization and industry. Dorset has a long and storied history. It was the heartland of the Kingdom of Wessex under King Alfred and the Anglo-Saxons. Obviously, before then, it saw exploration and settlement by the Romans. Celts before them. There are Iron Age forts, hill forts. There's barrows. It saw bloody fighting during the English Civil War, and during the World Wars, it poured large numbers of its manpower into the front lines, and an awful lot of people obviously died. It's often overlooked in the modern age, however. It's a nice, beautiful place. Over half the county is designated an area of outstanding beauty, and it has many beautiful sites, sites of historical interest, places of touristy kind of places, and generally is, while it's not what I would call the sort of the stereotype of Middle England, it is nonetheless linked to that kind of thing. For werewolves, the situation is a little bit different. The three of you, having come together over the last few weeks, Johnny, having come here by the invitation from the solicitors who are managing your great aunt's estate following her death. Bill, having come here under the guidance of the prophetic dreams you have been receiving, having literally crossed the ocean just for that, which is quite a step to make for an American werewolf to leave whatever tatters may have been left behind, nonetheless to come home that way. And of course, Jack going to university in one of the nearby universities. We haven't defined which one yet. It'll be interesting to find out what your character was studying as his degree. But
drinking.
Well,
as a typical American does.
As all students do, yes. When everything went horribly wrong during your first change, and you've since dropped out of university, and the loon who has been guiding you, the Rahalunim, shining a beacon of glory and bravery and poor life choices, has also led you here. In your case, it would partly have been looking for somewhere to lie low in the aftermath of how shit went down. I'm not sure. I guess the question is, did Jack leave any bodies in his wake when he changed?
My guess would be, as a Rahu, yes.
Yeah.
There were bodies, carnage, maybe a wing of the school torn down.
Yeah, so they, while there is no evidence connecting you to it, because you were a werewolf at the time, obviously you probably want somewhere to lie low, and perhaps the loon has helped lead you here. While the Rahalunim is very much keen on encouraging you to glory, acts of great bravery, and smiting your enemies, you don't really have much in the way of enemies at the moment, or sort of purpose of glory, and it understands that you do need a chance to perhaps not get hoovered up by the mortal authorities. You won't do a lot of glorious battle from the inside of a jail cell. So after the brief meeting you had with werewolves in Bournemouth, for that, you've come here with the guidance of the loon to find somewhere to lie low, perhaps, and then you've met the other two, and a small impromptu pack has formed. For now, the pack having come together, I suppose the linchpin of this was Johnny's potential inheritance. And the day we start on, it's pissing with rain. You are sitting in a cafe in Lanford Forum. It is one of the larger towns in Dorset, which means it has approximately 10 to 15,000 people in it. It's not a very large place. It sits in the east of the Blackmoor Vale, where the River Stour flows forth, and to the north is Cranbourne Chase. To the west, the Dorset Downs. To the northwest is Blackmoor Vale itself, the idyllic heart of Dorset. What little you know of Lanford Forum, you've probably been kicking around here for a few days, whether it's because you've been renting somewhere to stay, or while you're waiting for Johnny's the meeting with the solicitors, etc., and the funeral to go ahead. It's a nice little town. It burnt to the ground several times, and as a result, has very lovely Georgian architecture. Because after the last time it burned to the ground, there was a big sort of group effort to build it back up. So it's this beautiful, pre-Victorian structures. It has its less fantastic sides as well, but it's. I don't know whether this is too much of a stereotype. I don't know whether Americans would call it quaint, but it's certainly veering in that direction.
Very like small town feel.
I think we also use charming.
Yes,
charming, quaint,
charming. Since you've arrived, you haven't had a lot of contact with other werewolves in this area, and your main contact, the main person helping you through with all this, has been Mary Galloway. Now, Mary is Johnny. She is a cousin of some kind. You've rapidly found, after coming over here, that the family tree on this side is very complex and includes a number of people you've never heard of before. Or at least only vaguely. I don't know whether Johnny's parents told him much about the English side of the family tree.
I don't know. I think probably black sheep on my side.
Something up, something up there. However, Mary has attached herself to you partly because she says that she was asked to by your great aunt. Mary is wolf-blooded. She knows you're werewolves. You know she's wolf-blooded. While she hasn't said much about it, she appears to have incredibly honed senses. She knew you were a werewolf the first time she met you. She kind of looked at you, took a sniff, and was like, "Yeah, that's him." She is mid-30s woman, very dark, straight black hair, quite wiry and lean. She works as she works in digital marketing or something, God knows what. Whatever the job is, it appears to give her an awful lot of free time to hang around with some American werewolves. And she's been your kind of touchstone for stuff going on in the area, in terms of telling you, don't go over here, don't go over there, don't do this, don't do that, kind of thing. However, it is also evident she is not immensely plugged into the world of werewolves here. She is not, previous to dealing with you, being part of a pack. She is not she knows vague things. It's the kind of knowledge that a wolf-blooded who knows about werewolves has picked up while just living her life, and has been ended up in this situation now. She's not necessarily resentful or anything. She seems happy to be here and dealing with you, but she's not, leapt at this life with both hands, going, "Yes, let me live a life of danger, spirits, and spiders eating people's brains." It is the day of your great aunt's funeral. It was post for state. It's been as far as you're aware, the body has been prepared, such and held in state. There's been quite a few people invited to it. It's going to be held at the cemetery here in Lanford Forum, and there will be a wake and so forth, a viewing of the body, burial, wake, and then afterwards, her solicitors will be reading and executing the will. There's going to be various family members turning up for this, and other friends and so forth. Obviously, your pack mates are here because you're a pack and you're kind of building this up together. Whether or not you want them to come along with you to elements of the funeral is up to you. It's not that they'll have nothing to do if they don't, but also and up to the rest of the pack as well. So don't feel like you have to all stick together as the scene move forwards. You can spread out, you can do other stuff. That's all fine. So after that long preamble, rain splashing against the cafe windows, a small round table in the corner, a moderately busy cafe of the Saturday morning, and Mary looking very tense. She meets you this morning here. Not out of sorts. She's always a little bit tense, but uneasy, shall we say. And as you have gathered here, we'll say this is the first time you got together this morning for ease of thing. Sit yourself down. She looks across all of you, tenses her shoulders a bit. I guess, well, there are other wolves in town for great aunt's funeral. Oh, I forgot one vital note. Is what the name of the great aunt is. She is called Clarice Galloway. There are other wolves in town for Clarice's funeral. I saw some come in by taxi earlier. Well, I smelled them, but I saw them as well.
Relatives of yours?
Maybe. I don't recognize them.
Apparently, the family tree on the British side is large and extensive, and the American side really didn't associate with the British side. I'm surprised I was even called here.
Well, don't take this wrong way, but I'm a bit surprised as well. Until you turned up, I'd never heard of you. I didn't know there was an American wing. I mean, it sounds like some of the family members are. Well, we'll see how the wheel breaks down, shall we, and see who's happy with what they get. There's like Simon, he's always been keen on getting the horses, you know. So we'll see if they're happy with what they get. But no, these. There was a woman and a young man that I don't recognise. If they're family members, I don't recognise them. But they're definitely werewolves, and they've just turned up in. There's no pack in this town, which I've always been rather pleased with, to be honest. But they've just turned up in a taxi, wandering off in the general direction of the cemetery and the funeral parlor. So, what else are they going to be here for, man?
Thanks for the heads up, Mary.
Are you ready for? Are you ready for seeing the body? Because did you ever meet her?
Green Aunt Clarice? No, I haven't.
Okay.
Or if I did, I was very young, and I don't remember.
Just if there are some wolves in there and they get bolshy, probably not the best place to sort of throw any punches, you know.
Yeah, I'm outnumbered here. I know it.
I think she just told you to behave yourself, Jack.
No pissing contests. Got it.
Yeah, not in the wolves around here get really. They really prize their form and ritual. Like, they don't all like it, but it's important. I don't really understand or know all of it. They get really pissy when people break the rules.
Huh.
And I personally don't know what all the rules are, so I generally try and avoid anything that might break a rule.
So all of us are walking on eggshells for now.
Yeah. She sort of finishes her cup of tea. Well, time's coming up for the to view the great aunt in the coffin and all that for the actual funeral. Are you guys coming as well, or is it just Johnny? You?
If you two want to come, you're more than welcome to.
We'll come for support, but we'll hang back.
I hate fancy affairs.
Just throw on a black jacket and black jeans, you'll be fine.
It's going to be pretty fancy, to be fair, you know. I don't know that Clarice had a lot of money by the end, but bits of the family are very proud of their history, you know?
I'll stay in the car.
If you want to, I mean, don't let me discourage you. But, like, no. If you want to come along, it's cool. It's all fine. She swills around what's little left of the tea, pops it down, gets her coat, gets her umbrella. I guess we're time to get over there.
I finish my coffee and I get up and throw on my I guess, jacket and get my umbrella.
Okay. So, who is going to go to the funeral parlor? So obviously Johnny is. Is Bill going to go along and provide emotional support?
Yeah,
or is
I'm gonna go along, but I'll like stay in the foyer area.
Yeah. And Jack the same, or are you?
Yeah, Jack's gonna grab a cup of coffee to go, throw on his long overcoat, and head out.
Okay. Getting down there. So Lanford Forum has quite a long road running through a chunk of it. It's by no means it's not a big road. It's just a normal little road. This looks like a normal village lane in some ways, but it's a long straight one. You have to sort of walk down from the one end of the town to the other. So it's about a kilometre. Walking through the rain, pouring. It's really hammering down. You're clustered under the umbrellas. Unfortunately, this does mean that it's quite hard to pick up scents. Now, even in your human forms, you have enhanced senses. Yeah. So werewolves in a human form have a +1 die to their perception checks. Full stop. Werewolves never have anything less than an extra bonus to their perceptions, and it does unfortunately mean that scents are a bit masked by the sheer downpour. Hopefully, that won't be a problem once you're indoors, but it does mean that you maybe, whether or not you feel a bit worried about going in a little bit blind, because you can't easily pick up the sense of if there are Uratha in there. I don't know how the characters feel about that, but it's something to be aware of. The funerary parlor is a sort of 80s, 90s sand brick building, nothing particularly interesting. Outside, various vehicles parked up in the car park. It looks like it could be any other, multi-use building. Nothing interesting or nothing morbid or macabre on the outside. As you get in out of the rain and go into the quiet interior, you can hear the susurration of the voices of the people who've gathered. You're not necessarily familiar with how funerals work over here, or is this typical or not? But Great Aunt Karis appears to have been enough of a figure that she's, they're doing a viewing of the body, and it's someone paid a fair chunk of money for this as well. It's not stick her in a cardboard box and have a glance. It's a very nice setup. The decorations that the funeral director put up is quite extravagant. You don't necessarily feel like you're walking into a super posh place, but this is someone either wants to impress with what they spent on this, or Clarice meant quite a lot to people. And as you're entering, there are quite a lot of people here. Now, you're pretty sure, Johnny, that a lot of these people are not family members. They're probably friends of, or, that kind of thing. From what Mary has told you, in her last years, Clarice was quite isolated and insular. So she wasn't necessarily making a lot of friends. But you are also seeing a number of people who you're pretty sure are, or you've seen pictures of before, are family members. You have a cascade of strange connections of cousins of different kinds. They've all got the different third cousin, twice removed kind of things. Who knows who the fuck these people are? As you enter, there is that slight, saloon door-esque slight dipping in the quietness, and then everyone looking at you as you come in, and then it comes back up again. A funerary director, one of the people comes over and welcomes you in, takes your name, and says, you're John Galloway, and these are people that are Mary Galloway, and these are people with you for things. So there's no issue with bringing the other two in. Now you're not in the rain anymore. You're getting hit full strength with a number of scents and sensations. Can everyone give me Primal Urge plus Wits rolls?
Primal Urge plus Wits.
It's 4 dice for me.
It's 4 dice for me as well.
That's 3 for me.
Not too witty, are you?
Trying to remember this. Hold on.
Yeah, we've got this little dice roller bot for anyone watching. It's a little bit fiddly, but it looks like it's. Oh, yep.
2 successes for me.
Yep. It's just 1 success more needed, but there's always a chance someone might get an exceptional. Okay. So, Johnny, you're maybe a bit distracted by taking in visually everything that's going on here, but the other two quickly pick up a number of telltale scents. This roll is for detecting. It's not a normal perception roll. It's a roll for detecting werewolves and wolf-blooded. So, perhaps because you two are a little less invested in this as a funeral, you're a bit more like ready in case there's a threat. And several things immediately ping off. Firstly, those two over there. There are 2 werewolves. I'll give you a description of them in a second. Then, is there any wolf-blooded here? That person over there, there's 1 wolf-blooded, 2. Right, so within seconds of coming in and taking a deep breath of the slightly musty, slightly perfumed smell, you've gone 2 werewolves, 2 wolf-blooded, and the person in the casket was a werewolf, but they smell very strange. The 2 living werewolves, they're standing with a slight bubble around them. As if, firstly, maybe they're slightly more disconnected from what's going on here. Maybe they're not family members. Or can people maybe sense there's something off about them? But there's also a bit of distance between them. So they are there. They're there together, but they're not necessarily happy that they are there together. The first of them is a tall, barrel-chested man who has slightly silvery, longish, about the same length of my hair, slightly silverish hair, clean-shaven. Though this hair is silver, it's like young silver. He doesn't look like he's particularly old. He must be early 40s at the latest, but he looks in quite good health, and has that slightly scarred, pitted look of werewolves tend to have after they've been a good few decades in throwing down with other people. The woman with him is shorter, but incredibly, really wiry, lean. Looks like a real athlete. While the guy is wearing quite a nice 3-piece suit, she looks more like she's wandered in. She looks a bit hippie-ish. Not so much as to be disrespectful, but not so formally dressed for a funeral. Again, she looks a bit odd with the scars and the pockmarks, but she also bloodshot eyes, and both of you can smell under it. The smell of a hospital, not the septic smell of the aspirants, but the smell of people who are ill.
Yep.
That's underlying her scent.
Ooh.
And she looks, she looks almost slightly feverish. The 2 wolf-blooded. There is a woman over there. Looks like one of the family members. Rich dress, pearl necklace, 50s. Who is looking there. She looks a bit of a matriarch figure, hair looking quite sternly around, with a small gaggle of other people around her, not holding court exactly, but other family members around her. That guy there's a wolf-blooded man wearing a ill-fitting, somewhat smart suit, like he's been told he has to go to a funeral and he's pulled his Sunday best out the wardrobe, but he hasn't worn it very much for a long time. Okay. Probably in his 50s. Slightly scruffy hair. Doesn't look like a guy. He looks like he works the fields.
Okay.
And it's like someone's poured a farmer into a suit, and he's looking a bit uncomfortable. He's a wolf-blooded. Sorry, he's not looking uncomfortable. He is looking exceedingly watchful and vigilant while trying not to. And finally, the casket. You can't see her very well from here until you go up to have a look in, but you can smell. There is the scent of the faint lingering, the lifeless smell of werewolf from the casket. But there's something really fucking weird mixed into it. She smells like almost like an arts and crafts shop or potter's. Like there's a smell of almost pottery or kilns or something. Like, the initial is the corpse being burned, perhaps? What's going on here? Why is there a smell? It's not the smell of reeking flesh, but it's a very strange, almost clinical smell to it. Beyond the usual things you expect from a corpse, you can smell the makeup and the stuff, the preservative stuff they've slapped on, but there's something else really weird. And other than that, it looks like there's no sort of... There's a little tension in the air, but nothing solid directed between people. You maybe get the impression that there's a few people here who don't like many of the other people here and are more here for the inheritance bit than the funeral. But you have to keep up appearances. Mary looks to you, Johnny, goes, I'm just going to do some rounds and obviously, go and pay my respects to the body. Don't get
into trouble.
Don't do anything wolfy. don't think most of these people know about that kind of thing. And then she sort of, potters off to quietly talk to people who do. The people she goes to obviously rector, and they know her from something, so she's not sort of just striding off into enemy territory, as it were. The two werewolves have both locked on to you guys and are watching you through narrowed eyes.
I am staring at them with no attempt at hiding the fact that I am staring daggers through them.
I rub my nose and complain about the perfume.
Yeah, which is absolutely quite strong.
And I notice Jack and... What the fuck's going on?
That's just totally focused on them. I didn't even notice that he's talking to me. Sorry, Jack's a guy of singular focus.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Especially because of the sickly smell out of the one. Like, something's bugging him about that.
It is not nice.
I'm gonna go pay my respects. I'll be back in a bit.
Okay. So you move up, you join the little queue up to the casket, and there is a little queue, because there's a few dozen people here. Someone, a man, well dressed, again looks like he's in his maybe late 40s, balding hair. Turns as you sort of come. Hello. I don't think we've met. I'm Simmons Sykes Caldwell.
I offer out a hand. Johnny Galloway.
One of the Galloway wing of the family. Are you... Oh, you're an American.
If the accent didn't give it away.
Well, yes. I'm slightly surprised any of the American wing were invited. Well,
I didn't know there was a British one, so...
Oh, don't worry, we know about the American wing.
You'll have to tell me more, because it's all of a mystery to me. Perhaps after a reading of the will.
Perhaps after the reading of the will. We'll see how that goes. Oh, if you don't mind, I would say enjoy the funeral, but obviously that would be rather gauche, so I hope you don't have a bad time. And he sort of then turns and he moves up to the coffin, to the casket.
I give one of those salutes when he turns away, and I wait.
Yeah, like a couple of people in the general audience see that, and like one of them stares daggers, and one of them like, You move up to the casket, and now you don't need to. I'm not going to make you make the roll for this point. You can smell like your great aunt was a werewolf. She looks like a matriarch, but probably surprisingly young looking, silver hair cascading down past her. She's got long hair, which is not that normal. It's quite unusual for older women in the UK to have quite long hair just down, but she has long silvery hair. Again, looks like you're told she was in her 90s or something. Everyone's very vague about the exact age. And in fact, a lot of chunks about this family tree, of how exactly she's connected to the siblings up there too, is very vague, but she looks quite young for her supposed age, by which I don't mean she looks young. She looks weathered, she looks scarred, but although most of that's been masked under the makeup, but the odd thing about it is, like, you're looking there, and now you can get a bit of a smell. Can I have a perception check? So that's wits plus composure plus 1 die, because you're in human form. You can smell this almost chalky smell, almost a slight smell of pottery, but you might get something more given you are right there.
60, 10. I got 4 successes per the. Sorry, I didn't.
Okay, 1 second. I'm just being pestered by my daughter. I'll just mute myself.
Sure. Yeah, just as a quick aside while he's dealing with that quick, we should call out the successes since the people watching the stream can't see that. So.
Yeah.
10-4.
Okay, so it was 4 successes, was it?
4 successes.
Okay, you go. Right, things immediately get weird. The body smells of... I don't know, what's the best way to... You're getting a lot of particles coming up here. So she smells like... not industrial. Smells almost not the ash, like a furnace, but there's no ash or fire as well. Because I'm not sure exactly what the smell of this is, because I physically don't think you smell it if you inhaled it. It's slightly abrasive, almost it's like sand or something. You're definitely getting stone, actual stone, chalkiness, and sand, and a slight hint of sort of a smell as if from a furnace, but not like a big blast industrial factory. Something that smells of burning charcoal and wood, something that smells of a fire in the countryside. And you're looking closely at this game. What's going on? She's been heavily caked in makeup. Her limbs, now you look at them, they're mostly, you peer down because they're mostly under the cover bit. There's some odd stiffness about them. There is something wrong with this body. You are pretty sure it is a dead werewolf, but you do not think she is entirely made of flesh anymore.
Can I make a medicine check?
Sure. Int plus medicine. What are you trying to get out of it?
Kind of like maybe what might have caused the unfleshiness type deal.
Okay. Yeah, it's. I'm gonna put a -1 roll on this because you did roll very well with your perception, but you're trying to do a medic roll without like getting in and having a look and kind of in front of a funerary group.
Through perception and through smell and all that stuff. I get it. That becomes 4d10. 2 successes.
Okay. You spending it enough. You try not to spend too long just staring there because the next person will be like, "What's obviously it's very moving."
I make it a very long prayer.
Yeah, okay. From the smell and what little you can see, you think that one of two things has happened, and these are both things that don't make a lot of fucking sense. But since you have recently become, whenever it was you became a werewolf, you've met a lot of things that don't make sense. So you're perhaps a bit more open-minded to this shit. One is she has started to turn into chalky stone, or something has started to literally change her flesh, right? The second is that she's been what do you call it? Like as if she. After she died, maybe before she died, like she'd started to calcify on the outside, like maybe a layer of something had literally started to grow round her, parts of her body. It looks like it's not around the head and face, which is one of the things that makes this a lot more difficult to tell for sure. But like if you, I don't know, what's the sort of example? When stalactites and stalagmites form, that little drip, and they leave that. Has something like that happened to her body since? Was she washed in something that's calcified on, or has she literally started to turn into this shit? You can't quite place the other smell, the weird sand furnace kind of smell, and you'd really need to get a much better look at the body. But yes, something weird has happened here that doesn't make a lot of sense, because after someone dies, you don't generally go and drop them in a cave or whatever.
After I'm done taking what looks like a very long time, I will get up and walk away.
Okay, so you've found around. The two werewolves who have been watching the two werewolves, they have now they watch you for long enough, and then basically the man breaks into a stride towards you, and the woman doesn't follow, but she just sort of glances at him and then starts to move over. No, not hurrying. The man comes up to you, and as he turns to you, you can see Johnny's now coming round as well. I'm
going to start walking and meet him in the middle.
Yeah, and you can see Johnny's coming over there now. So yeah, you come out and meet them first, and the man stands. He does stand a bit taller than you, I think. He's strangely, not strangely, but he's quite tall. He doesn't look massively muscular. There's obviously muscle on him, but he's not as muscular as his size could be. But he's, he looks at you. He doesn't. You get the impression that even if this man was half his height, he would nonetheless find a way to look down on you.
One of those types.
He thrusts his hand out, big meaty hand, in a sort of handshake thing. Jonathan Dunstan. And who are you?
Was that towards me?
No, that was towards Jack.
Towards Jack, because he's the one who came out first.
Okay.
Jack Malone.
Will you take his hand?
I shake his hand.
Okay. There's that grip. He's not trying to do the the fist cruncher grip, but
Right.
it's a sturdy,
very firm.
shape.
Right.
And his body language is not friendly, but it's
That's-
not necessarily hot. It's tense rather than I'm here to beat the shit out of you.
Right. It's standoffish.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good, because that's what I'm giving back to him.
I walk up behind Jack and stand next to him.
I'm a Misgast, if that means anything to you. Who are you of?
A what?
Ah, I see. He glances at the woman, and again, the glance he gives her is not like she's an ally on his side, but she's not necessarily his best buddy. She looks at you, and again, she comes close. You get that scent on the air of something just putrid. And she, and there's something else now as you get close, right? She sort of wrings her hands a moment. Her hands don't match. Her left hand is not quite the same skin color or size or as the right.
There's just for them for the purpose of the story. There's that quick like a squint, like a really quick like did I just see that, and then look back and then start staring back at.
Does one of the hands look prosthetic,
guy.
or they seem very much organic? Okay.
Very much organic. It just doesn't look like hers. She glances over at where Johnny is meandering his way back from the funeral, seeing the casket, and she says, "Are you with him?"
She says that to me? No, to
both of you. Are you with him?
Yes.
I nod slightly.
And she looks at the man and goes, "Urdaga," which first tongue word for Forsaken. The man then immediately tenses, like he doesn't step back, but he goes into full standoffish. You know, he's not ready for a fight, but well, I suppose we'd
I
get
stand
some
up a little
dogs.
straighter and puff my chest out a little bit.
We'd get some dogs sniffing around sooner or later.
I raise my eyebrow and say questioningly, "Anshega."
I snarl a little bit.
He looks at the woman and goes, "Are you sure?" She nods. "The Americans are Urdaga." She looks mildly amused more than anything else. "Don't worry, we're not going to tear you to shreds in the middle of a funeral parlor." And Jonathan goes, "Family then." Clarice's family, I mean. You're not mine.
Not yours.
And the woman goes, "Just him," and points at Johnny who's come back. So the guys, she obviously has a lot more information than Jonathan does. He's like, one. So as Johnny comes over, you see your buddies squaring off with the two pure. Which is obviously, well, not the pure, but there's obviously this has rapidly become a lot more tense. It doesn't look like it's going to turn into a brawl or anything, but the air is thick here. I
see.
You're Clarice's
great nephew.
Well, I suppose it would happen sooner or later, wouldn't it? There's always the black sheep of the family. Behave yourselves. You've dishonored your great aunt enough by being Urdaga. Don't cause trouble to add to it. And then he just turns and walks away. The woman seems slightly amused at his discomfort and at everything else, and sort of saunters after him with a shrug.
On the Forsaken, the black sheep. That's funny.
Being a blood talon, I think Bill actually is sort of jazzed up about this a little bit.
From what you can see in their interactions, the two Anshega don't appear to be family members, but they are nonetheless people who have been invited.
Did they drop a tribe? I'd say yeah.
One of them mentioned he was a Misgast. I'm not familiar with the term.
It's not first tongue, so you don't know. But it's not first tongue.
Interesting. Well, That's right. Let's keep it in mind and figure it out later.
The showing continues. Mary comes around a little while later, like looking slightly happy that you haven't. She saw shit going down, and like, yeah, she pegged them as elves as well. Those are not the two arriving by taxi that she saw, so she's now slightly more nervous because that means there are more other werewolves around somewhere. And in fact, she says that she knows she's seen that guy before, Jonathan Dunstan. He is a werewolf from one of the packs in the area, but she doesn't know which. She doesn't seem to know he's pure either. And in fact, when she was doing the rounds, she very briefly talked to him and he seemed quite pleasant to her. He did not go like, "Forsaken dog, smack." He was like, "Oh, it's that wolf-blooded from the family that I know." Brief, pleasant passing. I have a happy child laughing in the distance. I don't know if you can hear it. It's
we're good.
The kidlets are playing. So the rest, unless there's anything else you want to do, the rest of the showing kind of just proceeds in short order, and they move to the funeral ceremony itself. Out in the pouring rain, even through the rain, you can smell the scent, even in human form, of the rich loam the rich black earth of the region cut into to provide the gravestone and the body being lowered down. The priest provides a moving eulogy to Clarice Galloway. How she, in as much as there's anything interesting in it, he talks a lot about how she was a pillar of the community in Gleesham. And how she was a respected figure here, and yada yada yada. And obviously, and there's a bit of a poignant moment about how she's seen so many of her family and her friends buried, but finally her time has come and she's embraced full dignity. You don't know how much of all this is true and how much of this is just like you say nice things about the dead person. You're not going to say they died in horror or whatever.
Sure.
No information about the cause of death comes up in all this. Mary, in as much as she had help with that, says she apparently died of like old age because she was really old, but Mary has no information about the circumstances. So before we move on to the sort of the inheritance swing out, is there anything you want to do with any of the people here? Do you want any information you want to try and pick up, or any daft things you want to try?
I want to punch Jonathan in the face, but that's
things.
another story.
Is that woman and child here or still not yet? The woman and child that Mary mentioned earlier who arrived taxi.
Oh, a woman and a young man. No,
yeah.
They are not. Mary's like, they don't seem to be around at all.
Maybe we'll see them at the reading of the will.
The only person, the two wolf-blooded, the man of the two wolf-blooded, the guy who looks like a farmer in a suit, is staying in the background. However, can I get a... I'll just tell you, there's no need for all. Because you're looking at the two werewolves quite a lot, even when you're not thinking about them, your senses are going like, where are the potential threats? Because you're werewolves, and especially the Iraqer is like, where is the guy who might come at me from that angle?
I'm thinking about how to try to kill him already.
Yeah, how would I get at them without them seeing? You realised something similar is going on with the wolf-blooded guy. He's pegged them and is keeping consistently distant from them around the party while
a Farmer John looking one.
Yeah, he is very keyed onto where they are and what they're doing.
I'm going to introduce myself.
Beat me to it.
Okay, well, if both of you can wander over. Once you start wandering over, he glances at you as he realizes, and you think this guy looks like some fucking like yokel farmer guy. You work the land kind of guy. I'm not. Don't mean that to say because there's very strong accents in the area. He just looks like a farmer. But as soon as you start moving on him, you see he's just caught you outside the line. He's shifted his stance, not for combat necessarily, but this is a guy who is ready to throw down if necessary. He is not some random farmer, or if he is, he's seen some shit. As you come over, he doesn't back away. He sort of nods at you as you approach, and he speaks with I'm not going to try and do a thick Dorset accent, but he speaks with a strong Dorset accent. Nods. Unlike when you met Mary, and she was like, "Right, that's a fucking werewolf." This guy clearly doesn't have that ability, or if he does, he's got it very well masked, covered up. He's not showing it, but he eyes you, nods. Morning.
Morning.
Are you family of the deceased?
Johnny Galloway from over the pond.
Ah, he relaxes a little.
I reach out a hand.
He shakes it, really a hard shake. Not a hand crusher, but like a friendly, really firm shake. I was told someone like that you might be around here today.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I didn't know what to look for other than the accent, so I apologize. I didn't come and talk to you earlier.
It's fine. I get it, especially with and I kind of make a gesture with my head towards the other two.
Sorry, I'm being menaced by a baby who's just roved in.
So Bill didn't walk over with Jack to where Johnny is.
Mm-hmm.
Bill's sort of standing like in the periphery of one of the corners and is actively focusing his gaze on the female Anshega.
Yep.
Basically, what's happening here is drawing on my whole Kehalith sort of background. I sort of want her to know I'm not actively hunting her in the moment, but I'm almost selecting her to like start trying to impart unease. Right?
Do you want to give a presence plus intimidate roll?
Sure, absolutely.
And while you do that, so he goes, Kelly Carr, I'm with the Spear Wardens, if you know them. No,
I don't. Who is that? A pack?
Yes. Well, so he doesn't say pack. He says, they're an association. He seems quite aware that there are a lot of humans around. I'm Suthar Anzuth, he says, which is the first tongue. He mangles the pronunciation, but he says the first tongue word for blood talon.
With the, I'm sorry, what was the pack name?
The Spear Wardens. They're an association up Shaftesbury way, and I'm here for them today to keep an eye out on things, including for you.
Appreciate it.
Alright, so you said presence and intimidation from me?
Yes.
Alright, that's going to be 5. Two successes?
You don't know if you've scared her, but you have definitely got her attention. Jonathan seems relatively like he's pissed off that you're here, but he's otherwise like, yeah, whatever, stupid fucking Forsaken, I don't care. She seems much more switched on than him in general, and less interested in interacting with the other people here, which means it's easier for you to get her attention with this in the first place, in a way. She's slightly shifted her stance, like she's up to the notches of how likely this is to turn into a fight up a couple by reaction. So you're clearly having an impact. But you know, she's obviously not the type to complete panic in a place like this.
Sure.
But she's getting the message fairly clearly. A few people around sense there's tension, but they can't clue in on all the body language. Their senses can't pick up on everything going down.
Sure.
So back with Jack and Johnny. Kelly's going, so I hear your Urdaga. He said, mangling that he cannot do the first tongue pronunciation properly. Like the Spear Wardens, I'd say.
Not like the Spear Wardens.
Not like them two over there.
No, fortunately, we're not black sheep.
Glad to hear it.
However, is the first time pronunciation for Hunters in Darkness like Menina or?
Yeah, Menina, I think is how you pronounce it.
Okay, I use the pronunciation.
Yep.
Not one of them, but I'm a Menina.
Well, like I said, the boys and girls in the association, well, some of them are Suthar Anzuth and some of them are Menina. And you're getting people passing by as the funeral's starting to sort of dissipate. And of course, all people hearing, you're speaking in some strange foreign language. No one's really paying a lot of attention to what's being said. Whereas if you said, we're with the blood talons, obviously people would start to get a bit weird. So maybe that explains why he's trying first tongue, even if he's shit at it.
Right.
I'm glad to hear. Yes. Sorry?
I look at him and said, I have to ask the indelicate question.
Oh, go
hey,
right
Clarice, one of them or one of us?
Well, you see,
I look at Johnny. Sorry.
Clarice was one of them, but her pack, her association, had come apart over the years. You know, and she was the last one standing in that lot, and she kept herself to herself mostly. And we got problems already with the Anshega around here. big problems. You know, we won't throw down in a place like this, but it's not a friendly relationship, as I'm sure you imagine. And
Not friendly over the pond either.
so we've had bigger problems to worry about than one old Zoomfin, Zoomfin being Ivory Claw. One old Zoomfin sitting in a rotting old estate, not bothering anyone. But I'm afraid to say, young man, your predecessor there was one of them. Yeah, quite the terror in her younger day, I hear.
What do you know about the other two?
Oh no.
What, them two over there?
Yeah.
Dunstan, that posh asshole. He's one of the Misgasts. They hold a bunch of the Southern Blackmoor Vale.
It's not a name I recognize.
No, it's just a pack. It means. So Ghast is an old word for fear and ghosts and things. The Miz. Well, I could tell you a lot about the Miz, but maybe another time over a drink, right? I don't want to talk your ear off here about some of the, Unlike the rest of the UK, right? We speak proper around here. We got a lot of the old words. They don't have anywhere else anymore. But there were men did some research, and it's us around here who speak the old Anglo-Saxon way, right? And everyone else is the ones got it wrong. Anyway, I could tell you about the Miz, but maybe another time. Now the other one, that I won't say an indelicate word. That's one hand Ash, right? She's with the
Fire touched.
play, yeah, the sick ones. They're anyway, there's a pack of them in the north called the Galley Crows. Right? So between the Misgasts and the Galley Crows, they got most of the Blackmoor Vale under their thumb. Your aunt's pack, Kestrel's children, used to hold a chunk of the centre. But, obviously, as it was, with the other ones died off over the years, and when it was just your aunt, we didn't really want to go and pick a fight with her because she wasn't picking a fight with nobody. And the Pure all respected her too much to move in and take the territory. So that area's mostly been left to shit, as far as I'm aware, over the years.
Which means they're most likely going to want to take it now.
Well, maybe. You got to watch out for it, haven't you? And that's part of why I'm here, is to see how this inheritance goes, because Spear Wardens and the Fairfax dogs both need to know which way we're going to throw our where we need to bite, if we need to bite. Because I don't want to be talking about indelicate things with it being your great aunt dead and all that, but there's a lot at stake here,
Absolutely.
Understandable.
Anyway, you got to watch yourselves around here. This place is one of the old Heartlands, right? There's things werewolves do around the world that came from places like this. Like beating of the bounds and the like. And, well, people people put a lot of care and attention to the rules and the rights and the rules and the regulations. Some of them, anyway. So, I tell you what, I'll be watching your back while things go down here, because I don't know if those two are going to try anything, but it's always possible. Yeah, but how you can never trust whether one of them's really outnumbered or what else is lurking in the closets.
Out of character, the two of you know that I'm a Blood Talon.
Yeah, we actually have a suitor Hanzu for this. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Right. Well, no, great to meet you. I'd love to meet another tribe mate. He's wolf-blooded, which means theoretically he can't be a member of a tribe, but he seems quite certain that he's a Blood Talon. Well, I'd be happy to meet. He's the lad over there staring daggers at one hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks ready for a fight, don't he? He's going to have to learn to control himself, though, around here. There's times to fight and there's times not to, and in the middle of a fucking cemetery in Lanford Forum is probably not a good time to have a fight, I'll tell you that. It's pissing down for starters. No, we want to fight in the rain. Yeah,
Try telling that to a Blood Talon.
Well,
Fighting in the rain isn't a bad thing.
Well, it can be. You get mud all over you.
That washes the blood off.
The blood away. No evidence.
Yeah, well, anyway. There's going to be a bit of a gap now, I think, and then they're going to do the reading in about an hour's time. Just, look, don't strangle any of your relatives, all right? Because I know some of them are right shitheads before we even get to the pier.
Quick question for you. There was Mary saw a woman and a young man arrive by taxi. And they do you know who they were?
Astrid, Saphonia, and Chalk Boy, innit? They're with me, don't worry. They'll be on the edges watching for trouble. You know, if shit kicks off, they'll be in like a dog into the river. No time.
No.
Yeah, Red Syphonia knows her shit. Talk boy's a new boy, you know. So she's showing him the ropes and all that. I don't know if you want to meet him, you can after we've done all that stuff. But you know,
I'd like to. I like to keep my friends close.
All right. Anyway, I'm gonna get in out of this rain, and I guess I'll see you at the solicitor's reading of the will.
See you there.
All right, don't get yourselves in trouble. I think everyone's told you this today, haven't they? They're probably always saying, don't get yourselves into trouble.
Why does everyone think the Americans are always going to get in trouble?
Have you seen what we started?
I smirk. Well, we're the rebellious cousins. What do you want from us? That's why we get along with the Australians so much.
Sorry, menaced by a child again. So, Kelly saunters off. The pure move away, and everyone starts to disperse. There's very, very few people cried at this funeral, but a lot of people were very respectful, you know. But so there's no like lingering people weeping. You get the impression that while quite a lot of people were here, almost none of them were close to the great aunt at the end. You know, no one's here going, "Oh, great aunt, how I loved you those summers we spent together when you taught me how to eat people's faces." You know,
so nobody liked her, but everyone respected her. Is that kind of the vibe?
Maybe it's not so much like this. No one was really. You don't get the impression any of the people who would have been close enough to life like her were here. You know,
They're all dead.
Like even the older members of the family don't seem very close to her, which does seem odd, given that she's meant to be like some of their aunt or cousins and stuff. You know,
right?
The rain is still continuing. You have yourselves sort of like an hour or so to kill if you want, or you can just saunter off and get yourselves ready for the solicitors for the reading with no issues. But if there's anything you want to do,
we should at least quickly chat about what we've learned and make sure we're all sort of on the same page, and then we can move forward to the next.
I was going to suggest doing that over a pint.
Yeah, and there's plenty of pubs. This is a British town. There are more pubs than people. Yeah, you find the because there is a king's head in almost every town. Or a King's Arms. So you find the King's Arms. I haven't checked the actual pubs in Lanford Forum, but I'm willing to bet there is likely to be a King's Head or a King's Arms somewhere.
Is that like a thing over in the UK?
Yeah. So you find yourself in a local pub. Lanford Forum is not the kind of place that has like outsiders, you know, with a bunch of the locals looking at you going, "Should we get the pitchforks?" It's you know, Dorset is very middle class. Even the farmers, you know, is very middle to upper middle class generally. So they, you know, you're not getting any daggers glared. Maybe a few glances when they hear the American accent, but nothing. Not even that. Barely. You know, there's quite a few touristy places south of here, outside of the Vale. One sec. Sorry, something you sorted. Yeah, you point yourself down. Pint each of beer, left here. No trouble. Is Mary with you? Do you want Mary to be with you? Or she...
Pete, I'll leave that up to you. She's your cousin.
If she's comfortable coming with us.
Yeah, she is. She's not so much. I'm not sure she's invested in you, but you're obviously the werewolves she has the most contact with. She's obviously decided to put some backing to you, if you like. So especially because fucking hell, you need a tour guide around here.
Somebody's going to keep the American branch from making them fools of themselves.
So she sat down. She's got a glass of wine, and looks pleased that you didn't murder anybody. Like, it's unfair, right? You haven't murdered anybody in Cousin Mary's presence, but she always looks like she's expecting it to happen.
To be fair, I am in a rock.
She's not exactly wrong.
So yeah, she sat down with you. So go over what you want to go over, I guess.
Sure. So once we all sit down and we get a pint, I say, so obviously we've learned that your great aunt was pure.
Ivory Claw.
And the two that were trying to eye pound us were I guess acquaintances of hers in some capacity.
I'd like to break my foot off in Dunstan's ass.
The chick is
disgusting.
I thought the word you were going to use was prey. I'm sorry. Yes.
I was going to go with disgusting. I wouldn't. I take too much pity on her to make her prey. There's no glory in it.
Now, and I'm just spitballing here, but we've had what sounds like, what I was told is my grandmother's pack, Kestrel's children, held the Central Territory. And the Fire Touched pack and Dunstan's pack, whatever his fucking name is.
Who was the other one you guys were talking to?
What was that?
Who was the other one you guys were talking to?
Oh, Kelly Carr. He's wolf-blooded, affiliated with the Blood Talon pack.
Blood Talons?
The spear something.
Spear Wardens. He said Blood Talons and Hunter in Darkness mostly.
You'll have to introduce me.
Well, he'll have to introduce us, and if there's Hunters in Darkness in there, they're going to be very particular about their territory, even towards other Forsaken.
Good to know. I think we need to be cautious in our next steps. I don't think they'll do anything during the eulogy or whatever needs to be done here, but they may try to catch us after.
I think he's going to want to pick a fight. I'm guessing he might be a Predator King.
Bill looks outside at the rain and just smirks.
Bill, no pulling a William Wallace. It's my job, isn't it?
See how the reading of the will goes, but it'd be quite interesting. I actually didn't know much about this side of the family, so learning that they're all pure, it's a bit of a shock. Now that I think about it, the Americans are the Forsaken, the rebellious cousins. Okay, I'll take it.
Alright, so now that we've just gotten on sort of the same page with that. Oh, I also, Bill brings up, I smelled something weird with your great-aunt's corpse. Did you get a better smell when you were up close?
I smelled it too. It was strange. I can't place it. It was chalky, almost like a stone type deal. You didn't get a good look at the body either, but it's like her limbs started to calcify, almost turned to stone.
Mary looks horrified by the fact she is about to say this. Goes, I smelt something similar. She didn't smell. I mean, they use preservatives, but she didn't smell of rot at all. I mean, she was pretty damn dead, but
yeah.
I look quickly to see if anybody's listening.
There's enough ambient noise in the pub that no one's. But when you do that, Mary looks like, maybe I shouldn't have fucking said that. She looks a bit chastened by you clearly going like, "Are we safe to say that?"
Well, what are they doing with the body? We could always take a look later.
Well, it's just been buried. Put it in the ground.
Right. Oh.
Unless you want to go and now she looks horrified. Unless you want to go and dig her up.
Worse things have happened.
You might want to talk to. There is some. Again, I don't understand much about it, but I understand there are some who are specialists in stuff with the dead. You might want to talk to them before you start digging up bodies.
Since out of character, since I am I'm a blood talon, so even though I am not an Eladoth, since we do not have an Eladoth as a blood talon, I'm going to try to sort of do double duty to cover our bases here. So, in game, Bill will say, "We just got here, and while I think there would be value in digging up the body and taking a closer look, I think that we should respect the honors and traditions here, and let sleeping wolves lie."
Mary looks relieved at the suggestion.
Well, I've watched a few episodes of Forensic Files. They dig up bodies all the time to check things out.
That doesn't mean we should.
This ain't NCSI here, bud.
NCSI? What's that?
It's one of those shows where they'll dig up a dead body.
I think you're thinking of NCIS.
You both watch too much television.
What else do you do when you're supposed to be studying? I mean, come on.
Climb,
really?
hike,
drink, and watch TV.
Anyway, we should get out of here. We don't want to be late.
Yes, no good. Let's stop talking about digging corpses up.
I'd say there's no way that great auntie died of old age.
I'll actually be right back, guys. I gotta do a quick bio.
Yep. If people want to have a quick 5-minute bio break, now's the time.
Really quick, actually.
Yep. Right, we'll start again. We'll catch up in a few minutes' time once everyone's back, and then we'll crack on. I might actually take this moment just to look at the Twitch channel. There is, in fact, there is someone in the Twitch channel. Sen Raven, the day is still young. Yes, sharp early set explosives.
So on a side note, being fairly new, fairly changed, how much would we know of the other supernatural types?
Limited.
For example, like you mentioned that Mary mentioned that there are specialists that do these sorts of things.
Yes.
And the first thing in my mind as a player was Sin Eaters.
She's probably referring to Bone Shadow werewolves.
Okay, I was going to say because I know as because I know as a Stormlord, like we look at the Sin Eaters, like they're ridden too. The spirit's a spirit. So that was going to be a very uncomfortable conversation if that was what was going to have to happen.
She was probably referring to Bone Shadows. Not that all Bone Shadows are experts in dead things, but she was probably referring to Bone Shadows when she says that, because her knowledge of Werewolf Society is clearly like 1 foot in and that's all, so she's working vaguely off what she understands. Okay. In terms of your wider knowledge, you almost certainly know that vampires are a thing that exist, but again, as a Stormlord, they are essentially claimed as far as anyone's concerned.
Do the Stormlords look at them the same way?
Yes, they're probably claimed close enough. Is their kind of angle. They don't necessarily think they are, but they are a similar kind of phenomena. That doesn't mean you have to go and kill vampires everywhere you come across or anything, but they are
But Sin Eaters, I'm going to look at like they're claimed and they need to be exterminated.
You probably haven't heard anything about Sin Eaters, but you will have heard about ghosts and spirits possessing people.
Okay. Anything in terms of like mages, Prometheans, that sort of thing?
Someone will probably have told you that there is a lot of weird shit out there, including human occultists who can wield real power. And there's just lots of weird shit out there. So they wouldn't have gone, here's what the Promethean is, but they would have got, the idea that there might be an animated body wandering around going,
Frankensteins are real.
They wouldn't necessarily have said that because that's too categorized and specific, but the idea that there'd be a body wandering around is not going to be a horrific surprise. Ghosts are real. Ghosts are definitely real. So the undead appear to be a thing, but
so we have an idea that there are other big bads in the pond, but
now
we don't know who they are.
If they turn up in this game, that doesn't necessarily mean they will automatically reflect what's in another line, and also there's a lot of stuff in the set. Even if I pulled things up, there's a lot of types of human occultists, for example. So it's kind of thing where you know a bit and you know enough to get in trouble. But yeah, he said so things like but vampires are the most obvious one to know about. Yes, they exist. Most Stormlords are split on what they are, but they're generally,
And is there just as a kind of a general overview of Southern England, which is where we are, what is the overall like mix of other supernaturals? Is it like most of them know that the werewolves just duke it out over this territory, so they kind of stay away to not get caught in the crossfire?
In the population centres, there are, like where you were in Bournemouth, we changed. There are definitely vampires around. They are probably quite rare, but most things are quite rare. You've had the warning of, beware, there are human occultists who know enough shit to do stupid things, like get themselves possessed by spirits by summoning them and stupid shit like that. And some of them know weirder, darker secrets. Vampires are a thing in population centres, generally not outside of it. Beyond that, anything else is... There's a lot of weird shit that's quite region-specific. You will have been told, like, for instance, in this area, right, that the English Civil War killed a shit ton of people. there are a lot of things left over from that don't
a lot of
fall
spirit
under
activity,
easy
ghosts.
categories. There's spirits, which Wells like, yeah, they're definitely spirits, but there's ghosts, yeah, and then there's other shit that we don't really have a good classification for.
Okay.
But you will come across other shit. You'll be like, "What the hell is this?" The trauma and detritus of the war left its mark. That kind of thing, you know.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Okay, so you leave the pub, and we'll transition now to the wheel ring. So this is a nice old upholstered wooden room in an old Georgian building, which has been hired basically by the executors. There's rows of chairs before the fireplace. Has several grand old oil paintings of important regional figures. You know, some lords and ladies who perhaps held land in the last few hundred years and the like.
Is this
Sorry?
Is this one of those fancy will readings where you can get like a glass of whiskey?
Not that fancy, but moderately. You know, again, it's the impression you get isn't even necessarily that this is excessively grand backdrop. This is literally the room that was available. It's just a really nice room. You know, there's a lot of quite old stuff around here. Of note is the painting of a woman on the wall. It is not it is your great aunt. It is not a painting from like 1600s. I think it is a modern painting, probably from the mid 20th century, of your great aunt as a younger woman, which is in amongst these, and it's like, you know, Lady Clarice Galloway of Kestrel House, and there's a thing on it like something to do with she donated a load of money to some cause, so she's up on the wall of the people who have done stuff for Lanford Forum.
Nice.
As you're coming in, you are met by a man who looks like, you know, when I say he looks like a lawyer, he looks like an accountancy kind of lawyer. He is. Yes. Hello. I'm Marcus Tongham, of Tongham, Run and Seal. We're the executors of your great aunt's will. You're Jack, is that right? Yes. No, not Jack. John Galloway. Yes.
Correct.
The American. Yes. We sent you. In fact, we sent you the letter. I'm very glad you've been able to make it. You know, we were a bit worried that maybe, you know, we were a bit worried you wouldn't turn up, but I'm glad you have today. Obviously, when we've read the will, once the terms have been laid out, but there may be further details that need dealing with, your procedure, paperwork, etc. Now, Runham, Tongue, and Seal have been employed to fully execute this will and all the following process. So, if you are awarded anything in the will today that has further paperwork, we will help you go through that. Yes. Now, as a part of that, because you are an American, there may be some additional details we need from you, but you know, we'll see to that afterwards. Yes.
Sure, absolutely.
Please take a seat.
I will find myself up.
Your friends may, of course, come and sit as well. You know, there's nothing particularly private about this.
I'll sit in one of them corner chairs.
And he sees Mary. He gives her a little spiel, and then, you know, she sits down with you. The two other werewolves are sat at the back, watching. You know,
I choose not to.
Not a member of family. I'm standing and leaning against the back wall, sipping a cup of coffee.
I'm standing against the opposite wall.
Okay.
And again, I focus my eyes on her primarily.
I was like, I'm staring at Jonathan.
Yep. Kelly is sat in a different thing, nods to you as you come in and sit down. And there are various other people, again, now far fewer than the few themselves, and there's much more concentration of various family members. After 15 minutes, Marcus Tongham comes to the front and begins to basically read out the will. So if everyone's gathered, we'll now read out the will, and he begins to read it out. Now, a few things you quickly pick up from this. Clarice didn't necessarily have an awful lot of money, in terms of and unfortunately, none of it is going to Johnny. It appears to be going to a small amount going to certain family members, and a certain amount being sent to charitable establishments. Various things, and they start going through various things. The big surprise, perhaps, is when Marcus gets the thing is, and the estate, the Gleesham estate, including Kestrel House, is to go to ex-cousin, nephew, once, whatever the detail is, John Galloway. And there's a bit of but a few people in the audience, like who, and a few of them, like include the guy you met up at the Sykes Caldwell, looks at you with if looks could kill, you know. And then starts talking about this. So the horses are going. The horses are going to Simon Sykes Caldwell. The name Jonathan Dunstan comes up when there's a few objects of art and things that are being assigned, and one of those it is said to be a piece of glasswork is for him. Then Marcus reads through all this, and then there's a few odd bits at the end, and he just furthermore, there are further matters and executions to be followed up based on individual agreements with debtors and detties of the deceased. As part of this, I've been asked to read this out, and he mangles some first tongue as he's just reading it like from the paper. And he goes, oh, he doesn't know why he's been asked to read it, but he just reads it out. In first tongue, it sounds like a very mangled way of to the children of the shadow. All debts will be paid. Come to claim what is yours. Take more than what is yours, and you will be in debt. You don't know who she's reading it out to. There are no spirits in Twilight present. Wait, can I please have Wits plus Primal Urge rolls?
It's 4 dice for me.
Yep, 4 dice for me too.
Look at me killing it with these Wits and Primal Urge rolls today.
One success for me.
Okay. 1 success for me too, sorry.
I got 2.
Okay, so you looking around, like what's going on, and because you've seen a few drifting presences in Twilight in Lanford Forum, but not many. You haven't seen it here until you look around, and then there is that moment of, when you look somewhere, there's no one there, and you look away and you look back and someone's there, and your senses go, that is not human, but it's not a werewolf. There is something that looks mostly like a woman, sat several rows back on the chair. She is, she looks like a dreamlike impression of a woman, possibly by someone who's only vaguely seen humans at a distance. She's too tall. Her almost pulled out, but her dimensions are all slightly wrong, off. She looks feminine, looks woman-like, but again, it's all rather through a sort of warped mirror. She has a cascade, thick bunches of chalky white hair. She is wearing a chalky white dress, and it seems a weird mishmash of simple clothes to quite elaborate elements of lace. She is almost entirely chalky pale colours and bits of fragments of stone. Her mouth is just too wide. Like, if it was on a human, it'd be right back there, but her face is all weirdly distorted anyway. The pupils are sort of you can see pupils and irises, but they're sort of stone-like at the centre. And she is dripping in water. Hands are clasped together, but you think they're very long, thin talons. Almost they look sort of scraping. None of the humans react. None of them. She's in Twilight. None of them can see her. She's not materialized or manifested. And she just turns to look at you with this very strange facial expression. Again, like someone who has seen facial expressions in a book and tried to learn how to do them badly. And gives you this wide-eyed, slight smile. You're not sure if it's meant to be threatening, reassuring, or just slightly crazed.
So it's kind of unsettling. Is the short version.
Yeah, carries on. She's about 10 foot tall. She sat down. So, she's scrunched up weirdly, like knees go up too high. You are pretty sure it's a spirit, but beyond that, uncertain. And she just carries on paying with rapt attention to the guy who's just read out the first time.
So as her glance passes over Bill, he gives a barely perceptible sort of like nod, like respectfully, and then just returns his attention to the female and Shaga.
The 2 werewolves have clearly noticed her. Kelly doesn't seem to be able to see her, nor as Mary hasn't reacted to her at all.
Mm-hmm. How does the female pure, since I am focused on her, how does she respond to the spirit's presence?
Taunton slightly, because the spirit just bang, presumably gauntlet breached over out of nowhere. And is watching her, very much focused on the spirit now, tamping down her expressions as much as possible. Jonathan has frowned, like, in a kind of really kind of way, like, oh, for fuck's sake, but isn't. It looks exasperated rather than angry.
Okay.
Or afraid. No, he looks slightly like slightly on edge because this spirit popped up.
Right.
But you can't tell if is he afraid because it's a powerful spirit, or is it just like, fuck, my nerves are already highly strung because he's forsaken over there and the spirit's
right.
The Marcus reads out the last bits of the will, and then this is the will to be executed. We will be in contact with all of those who will be receiving elements from this will, and arranging for the pickup of physical inheritances from Kestrel Hall. Some of you, I will, if he reads out some names, including Johnny's. If you could please wait behind so I can just talk to you today about some of the dispersion of the effects. But otherwise, if you're named in the will, please contact us by email or phone, and we will arrange for you to pick up, to acquire what is being dispensed to you. People start to get up and leave. The werewolves loiter and move out. The spirit sits there. Kelly nods to you, gets up to go. Caldwell Sykes, walks away as if talks briefly to Marcus Tongham, and then walks out as if Johnny does not exist and is not a person who exists in his world. You get a few baleful glances from family members over, like, why has this fucking American got the estate? But not perhaps as much as you might expect. She obviously didn't have a lot of money. None of that's gone to you. So what the state of the estate is going to be, who knows? Marcus comes over. So we have. I imagine you'll want to see the estate of we want to see the estate as soon as possible. Your great aunt put in some dispensation for. Well, one of her former employees is willing to take you over there today if you want to go.
Sure.
Well, if you wait until after, I need to talk to a few of the others first, and then once I'll take you out to meet Albert, and he will. Then you can. We'll handle paperwork. I will come over in the next few days with the paperwork for you, so that we can get this all signed and sealed, and address any lingering issues. But I imagine it's. Something like this is a big matter in terms of the paperwork and life changes as well. Just out of curiosity, if I may ask, are you intending to stay here, or are you planning to go back to America?
I haven't decided yet. I'd like to see the state of the estate. But
of course. Of course.
I probably would like to stay now.
Well, anyway, I just have to deal with some of these other folks, and then I will show you to Albert, all right?
Do I have to come alone, or can my friends join me?
Oh, no, of course they can come with you. I mean, it's your house.
Excellent. Thank you.
And he goes off to talk to other people. The spirit stands up, and her head, is not... She would go through it anyway, but her head is almost touching the ceiling. And she turns and moves towards you. And although she's in Twilight, you get full sensory effect of spirits in Twilight. So you can hear the rustling and stony scraping as she moves towards where Johnny's sat and looms over you.
I look up at her with just my eyes. Like, I don't move my head up to look at her.
Yeah,
but it's like just the eyes look up.
In straight ahead, but I'm looking up at the same time.
She tries on a smile. Hello, Johnny. Obviously, this is being said in first tongue, but so she mangles the name Johnny.
Are we alone in the room now?
No, there are still a few people talking to Marcus. She can hear you if you speak quietly, but without it catching other people. But if you go like, "Who the fuck are you?" Everyone's going to look at you, going, "Why is this man talking to nothing?"
Can I make like a gesture and in first tongue say "follow me" and where we can find some place without prying ears or eyes?
Yes, you can absolutely. So you can, and it sounds like you're growling slightly, but no one will pay a lot of attention. So she tilts her head, and then if you get up and go, she will follow you.
That's what I do.
So you leave the room, this thing sliding along after you. And so go into one of the, you look around, well, there's a room just there, it's empty. Councils, the town council's off use it, there's no one in there at the moment. If you duck in there, you can probably just close the door. Do you want the other two going in with you?
You said the Pure already left, correct?
They have left, but you don't know how far they.
Sure.
They just left the room we were in, is what we know of.
They're not. Yes, they're not immediate. If you look out, they're not immediately outside. They're nowhere immediately around.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So I follow, but once we enter that room, I sort of position myself where I can see outside of the room while also like being present and not disrespecting.
I put myself with my back to a wall, staring at the door.
So Chris, I have a question. Can I make a perception check to try to get smells off this spirit?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You get a lot of scent anyway, but you can give me a perception check if you want to get something really specific out of it. So wits plus composure plus 1.
Yeah, I'm 1 success.
You get the breath in. If you were in wolf form, this would be far easier. You could get a lot more sense. You're having to work off your human senses. There is a lot of similarity to what you were smelling on your aunt, but not all of it. Like, this woman, this spirit, matches the chalky smell and some of the stony smell on your aunt. But some of the stony smell comes from the weird sand forge smell.
Right.
So this woman is part of that smell, but not all of it. She tries again. She smiles. Hello, Johnny.
Hello. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the local spirits. What's your name?
I am Fafarna'a. You're trying to just because spirit names are first tongue, but they don't always have a clear meaning. You think this means the stone water woman, the white stone water woman, or something, but you're not quite. It's spirits have their own sort of dialects as well. You're not familiar with the local spirits, but it's something like that. But there's some sort of meaning to it, an underlying meaning, an implication that you can't quite tease out because you're not familiar with the local spirits. Like, there's some implication to her name. It might mean she's a ranking spirit of some sort, or that she has some link, but you don't have the context for it.
Did you live with my aunt at Kestrel House?
Live with?
You
are asking if we are lovers?
No.
Is that how it... No.
No.
Jack giggles a little bit in the corner.
Were you friends?
She was a person of my acquaintance.
I see.
We had dealings, Johnny. Dealing on matters of import. I want to tell you that I will be along to collect from her what I am owed. So when I come to your home, that is why I will be there.
I appreciate the warning.
I am not there to take you, only what is owed to me. Feel calm, Wolf. Do not be afraid. There is nothing to fear from me when I come to collect.
Would you be willing to share what it is you are coming to collect? Would you be willing to share what you are coming to collect, Spirit?
Oh,
you keep cutting out there, bro.
In the middle of it, sorry.
Here, how about now?
Can hear you fine
better.
now.
Perfect.
Yeah,
would you be willing to share what you're coming to collect, Spirit?
I don't know yet. That's the delight. I don't know I don't know what it is she left me. Her work. She was working on something for me. She's smiling more or less at random. Like she's going, oh, I should smile now.
Right.
mouth too wide. Your progenitor, your ancestor was your progenitor, your procedure, your relative was creating something for me. It should be made before she died, I hope, or else that will be difficult. So I will come to collect her creation.
Do you know what killed her?
Sorry?
Do you know what slew her? What killed her?
She looked into the amber.
Looked into the amber.
Smiling as this is the most fantastic news the Spirit has ever heard. I look forward to seeing the glass. I am glad that you understand that I will come to take this. I hope you will not be afraid. I hope you will not try to stop me taking what I am due.
I suppose that's what the first time in the will was for. So that's what you're owed. That's what you're owed.
I will not take anything I am not due. Thank you, Wolf. I will see you soon. Do not be afraid. And then with a like that, she's gone. All werewolves can look across the gauntlet. You can extend your sense across. You haven't done that as yet, so you don't. But you know, just to remind you, you can do it. I'm not saying you should. You're pretty sure she just gauntlet breached, so she will be in the shadow. The equivalent of wherever you are now. She hasn't used any other weird power. She's just gauntlet breached as normal. As normal, you know, normal spirits.
And spirits can also glance across just as easily.
They can, yes, although they have werewolves are generally better at it.
So I turn to Johnny and I say, "Right bit of shit you've gotten us into."
I don't know. You seem happy. There's blood talents. There's other werewolves to hunt.
Bill smirks and says, "I didn't say I was upset about it." And he walks out of the room.
I shake my head as I walk past Johnny. Some fucking family you got.
As you're going to walk out the room, you see coming, or about to come into the room, the two Pure and Kelly. Jonathan has a duffel bag with him. You're not sure where he got it from. Kelly, the two Pure are looking determined. Kelly is looking not ready to fight, but he's going with them, but not their buddy, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
As you open the door, Jonathan looks at you and goes, Mr. Galloway, as you've inherited something of my tribe mates, I think it is time to perhaps discuss a few matters. I invite you formally to drink of the cup. Kelly goes, okay, right. Don't be an asshole. And the Pure looks at him with scorn. You know him, right? Okay. And he basically tries to ask you to get in the room and close the door.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pure has gone over the table, unzipped the duffel bag, and has got out a big, a goblet you have to hold with two hands. It's about yay big. Old iron-looking thing, and clunked it down, and then gets out a bottle of something and clunks it down. Sorry about this. You're newcomers. You don't know this shit. And the Pure, the Anshager are always the type to really rub your noses in it. He says, "Quite. This is how they do negotiations around here when they don't want anyone to get shanked about it. You know, it's an old tradition. You drink from the cup. Everyone takes a drink as it goes round. It's important that, look, I tell you what, if you need at least one of your buddies to be in this, me or one of your buddies to be in this ring with you doing the drink, all right? We'll explain later, but you don't want to do is spoil your stuff, all right?
They can stay then, and I do the nudges towards Bill and Jack.
Jonathan pops the cork out, pours out a thick, rich-smelling, alcoholic-smelling fluid into the goblet, cracks his neck and back. Invoke the forms under the Danegeld and under the Spear Hill to meet and discuss with these forsaken mongrels.
So close.
And he takes a drink and he basically gestures. The woman stands next to him as if to try and form a circle. So gestures you and perhaps to any of you stepping in to form a circle standing.
I'll
Kelly
step
goes,
in next to him.
Yeah, he looks at Kelly and goes, make sure none of the herd make their way in here while we're having this chat. Kelly kind of, okay, you've got your lads with you, it's all right. And he goes and to stand outside the door and make sure no one busts in and sees what the fuck's going on. He drinks, hands it to the Fire Touched. She drinks and hands it to one of you. And see, when they both take it with both hands, and when they drink standing up like this. And you start to clock on something what's going on here. This is a very vulnerable thing to do. You're not sure if this is quite the intent of what this means, but standing like that, drinking, so to speak, you're literally showing your throat, your stomach, and your belly, your chest, which is that part of the symbolism here? Is this a thing about literally saying, if you're going to take a shot, take it, or is it like I am doing this because we're not going to fight? Pass that. She takes a drink and then pass it on to whichever of you is next.
I'll take it and follow suit.
You drink. It is a rich. It's like a port, like a herbal port, port with some sort of herbal mix in it. You fortify one, and then you pass it on. And as you are drinking, both of the Anshega are looking at each of you who drinks, like as if they are fucking ready to go, but they don't do it.
I was about to say, when I drink and when I pass the cup on to Johnny, I kind of do one of those like flex, crack my neck type.
Yeah. So they are watching as each of you drinks well. They're watching what the one next to you does in particular, but you don't know what they're looking for. As it goes,
I take the cup from Jack.
Yep.
I take a drink.
Yep. And then do you pass it on?
I pass it on to Bill.
Okay.
So
takes a drink.
So when I get the goblet, I turn and I stare like for just a moment longer than I should at the female Anshega, and then I actually give her a coy wink, and then I drink from it.
Ooh, baby.
She cracks her neck at that, and the smell you've got from her, the really foul smell, ramps up. And suddenly, now she absolutely reeks. And the air from her mouth is literally almost shimmering or heat haze, but something else coming out. And she stinks of disease. She absolutely stinks of it. Even a human would smell it if they walked in here right now.
Okay.
And Jonathan takes it, sets it down. Disappointing as I'd expect from you, but at least you have some measure of measure to follow the forms. You have the Kestrel Children's Heartland. Are you going to establish a territory there?
What's the matter to you?
It matters a great deal because you sit at the heart of the Blackmoor Vale. In case you're unaware, we are not on friendly terms with you or your ilk. Do you intend to establish a territory in Claris's land?
Bill looks at Jack.
I'm gonna get close to Jonathan, and in the first tongue, I'm going to say the Hunters in Darkness Sacred Oath.
I'll take that as a yes.
What were you gonna say there, Dan?
Basically, we haven't really sussed it out yet, but I'm assuming that because you're a Stormlord, you're planning to establish yourself as the alpha of the pack, so I sort of looked to you to make that affirmative decision or not.
Okay.
Yarnis is probably the youngest as well.
You beat me to it because I was gonna get in his face and say, "Yeah, you got a problem with that," but you beat me to it, you bastard.
Sorry, I just thought using the Hunter in Darkness Sacred Oath was the best way to do it.
Sure.
I don't know what the oath is.
Let no sacred place in your territory be violated.
Nice.
This shit is ours, and we're keeping it safe.
I like it. I like it.
Well, you will be treading on hallowed ground, so we'll see how long your vaunted oath lasts. He looks really very angry, but he's ready to fight, but he's not actually doing it, and you don't think he's actually going to.
Is there a table in between us?
No.
Okay.
No.
I step right up into his face. If you want it, you're welcome to try and take it.
Unlike wherever you come from, we hold some measure of civilization around here.
Whelps
so
like
we'll
you.
see how well you honor the lineage of those who have gone before you.
Seeing as how it was owned by a whelp like you, I guess we'll have to cleanse it first.
That he nearly fucking smacks you.
I know.
He goes, you call her a whelp? She was more than you'll ever be. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, he says, looks at the woman, looks back, who nods. In 2 weeks, the Misgast and the Galley Crows will be present at Kestrel House to show the prey, the trophies we have taken in a hunt in honor of the elder who you now scorn with your words. You better have something to show for yourselves. Show to us and your forsaken friends your ability to honor the ways by presenting a trophy, presenting prey you have taken in honor of the wolf you so mock. Show yourselves to at least be vaguely worthy of our time. Or the spirits will know. And if the spirits know you have scorned one, such as her, if the spirits know that you mock the old ways, then we will scarce need to lift a finger against you. 2 weeks, you better have something worthwhile. Although I don't expect anything from dogs like you. He throws the goblet back in the bag, and it's like, clearly, I'm definitely getting the last word here and turning, but if you want to say anything else to the Anshager before they go, you can.
Actually, following...
Dan, what do you think about what I just said?
So he...
Should I push the boundary? Should I push the limit?
Bill didn't like that you insulted the elder who held the land.
I was insulting him, not...
Yeah, but that's how it was interpreted, and so that didn't resonate. But he's not going to say anything, because right now, unity of the pack, and, again, you're basically the alpha. But after they leave, he'll just remind you, like, the Oath of the Moon, we have to... honor the high respect the low. We have to be mindful of that.
And to be fair, she was, one of your packmates' great aunt. She may have been an evil Ivory Claw, but to be fair, you don't really know anything about her. She was an Ivory Claw, so she was probably evil as shit. But
it was one of those young things. I was trying to insult him and didn't realize that what I was saying was insulting her too.
Right, but that's sort of, again, that tracks with my character, because my character is aiming to eventually serve that role in the pack of more of a guru and an advisor. So afterwards, quietly, he's just going to be like, just so you know, like, it's good to show strength, but that was a bit of a misstep. Just keep it in mind.
Right.
As the Anshager Jonathan storms out, the fire touched as she goes just turns to look at the Cahalith and smiles and says, "We'll be seeing you," and flies out of her mouth as she says it and buzzes away and turns to go.
I lean towards Bill. I think she likes you.
She seemed quite you've clearly made like, I'm willing to take you on, and she's going, right, fair enough then. Yes, that's gonna happen. But she doesn't. She's got. You don't think if she's intimidated, she's not showing it, but she's definitely got the message.
Sure. He gives her a big toothy smile as she leaves.
Kelly sort of closes the door. Oh shit! I need to tell the Spear Wardens as well. Then we better come along with something to show for ourselves. He may be an asshole, but he's not.
As a trophy.
He's not entirely wrong, He'll call a hunt in the eyes of the spirits. It'll be worth showing up with something to. Oh, it's your business how you handle this yourselves, but the Spirit Wardens I'll be telling to bring something worthy of respect to the old woman.
Kelly, I would appreciate if you could introduce me to the local blood talons.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Well, listen, your solicitor guy's just waiting outside. I just told him to give us a moment. Good job that didn't turn into bloodshed. Otherwise, that would have been a bit messy, wouldn't it?
Sure.
Anyway, so if John, if you want to talk to your solicitor and get yourself sorted out with that, I'll just take the other two around the corner and we'll meet the spear wardens, all right?
That works.
All right, come on then. And so you put Marcus is there going, right, here's the information. Marcus tells you there's a guy called Albert Brunswick who used to be and kind of still is the maintenance guy for the estate, who is waiting. He will take you in a car over there. He's waiting outside. If you need a little bit of time to finish up what you're doing here and talk to people, that's fine. But Albert will be waiting for you. He says Albert has still been. The great aunt paid him a certain amount of money to finish up certain things, to take care of stuff until the estate got taken over and the like. So he will have a last few duties to handle. But Albert will proceed to. In the meantime, the guy knows the estate. He knows what's working and what's not.
After all this is what you're
Sorry?
saying. He's like going to retire after.
Mate, he doesn't say that. In fact, he said, it's more a case of he knows the stuff. He'll be able to get you settled in at least and tell you what's what.
Okay.
Don't let our Alfred retire. Damn you, Johnny! Don't let Alfred retire, man. He's the one who's supposed to pull our asses out of the fire when we fuck up.
The other two of you go out the building into the rain, and out there, the Anshager have gone. Out in the rain, around the corner, in the bit around the corner where when there are staff at a place, there's always a back door where they go out to have to smoke their cigarettes, right? It's there, and there are these two werewolves like hanging around, looking like they're somewhere between skulking and having a cigarette break. One of them is a powerfully built woman. She's not like a bodybuilder, but she's clearly physically quite strong. Long blonde hair tied back in a ponytail, maybe looks early 30s, but hard to tell with werewolves. And is standing like quite sort of head up. Her bearing is quite authoritative and confident. She's wearing really heavy waterproofs, however, which slightly takes away from the image. She's standing as if she's a bold warrior. She's wearing some random out in town kind of mac and stuff. With her is a younger man, maybe in his early 20s, if even that, who is rangy and quite long-limbed, not a bit wiry but not massively muscled. Early a little bit of facial hair, mostly because he hasn't really bothered to shave very much, but he doesn't have a lot to show for it. Short brown hair, and they're both the woman is completely calm and confident. The guy is a bit jittery, and Kelly looks around, goes, "All right, Red Sophonia, Chalk Boy." And the guy looks. No, look! I told you, I'm the White Blade of. No, you're Chalk Boy. Shut up. And
Boy.
And these are both werewolves. The wolf guy is just telling Chalk Boy to shut up. And he goes, "This is Jack, and this is Jack and Bill. I don't know if I've heard names in that." And the woman nods. It says a slight Dawes action. It's good to meet you. You're the Americans then. Kelly says you're going to be taking the center.
Seems we're getting a reputation already.
Her body language towards you is slightly standoffish, like respect, but she thinks you might be rivals rather than enemies. Chalk Boy is just like really pissed off that everyone's talking over him, possibly calling him Chalk Boy. He appears to have some grand name that he thinks should be his name, and everyone calls him Chalk Boy. And he's like slightly twitchy, as if he's constantly on a come down for far too much caffeine.
I know that character.
So you're the guys. You're gonna go take the pure bitches territory. And Sophia backhands him across the back of the head for saying that. Speak better of your elders. Sorry. Yeah.
When that happens,
knowing I just made the same misstep.
I was gonna say when that happens, subtly, Bill locks eyes with Jack for a moment and then looks back.
I smirk knowing I made the same mistake.
You're gonna have a tough time. You're gonna have a tough time, Sophia says. It's the Kestrel's children died off over the years, and the pack never grew back up again. I understand the old woman kept a lot to herself in her latter years. Now, pure territory doesn't look great at the best of times. Pure territory is no one's been taken care of for at least a decade. Well, you'll need to watch your backs there. I don't know how friendly it's going to be. We'll be rooting for you, for now. See how you do. But I gotta warn you, We've had our eyes on some of the eastern reaches of the old Kestrel's Children territory. If you can't step up or won't step up, we'll be forced to take it to protect ourselves.
I wouldn't
say that
worry
not to
about that
antagonize
just
you,
yet.
just to show you the realities of what's going down.
Very quietly, Bill basically murmurs, knowing that they'll hear, Nusum Gumur Nusugid.
And what does that mean? Because I can't remember.
Oh, that's the oath for the Blood Talons. Offer no surrender you would not accept.
She nods. And she actually also gets out a business card and hands it to you. It's not hers. It's for a printing company in Sherborne. Sherborne is on the far western edge of the Blackmore Vale. Ring them up and say you want to talk to Fairfax. Right? That's if you want to talk to the Fairfax dogs. They're our side on the far side of you. Mostly Bone Shadows and Iron Masters. I think there might be a Storm Lord over there. I haven't checked in with them for a while. We coordinate with them sometimes against the Pure. But they're quite a long way from us. You're in the middle. They'll want to know about your existence, but they're not going to be in any rush. They don't have their priorities straight, shall I put it that way. They're less interested in fighting in the center, which might be your benefit, but it might mean they're less eager to come to your help if you need it. Chalk Boy nods. They know sorts of crazy shit, the Fairfax dogs. They go around the barrows and the chalk hills and the ways into the place below. They see all sorts of shit there. I don't know, shit you'd have to be taking an awful lot of drugs to see otherwise, I tell you that. Somebody's like... Another warning. Wherever you're from, it probably ain't like where you are from. Although I hear, since you're Americans, I hear it's like this in some of the American wilderness. The gauntlet here is not very fucking thick across the whole Blackmore Vale. It's not thick at all. Human footprints have been here for millennia, but it's never grown so thick, so heavy as to scab the gauntlet over. Like I said, it's dangerous. If it's too much for you and you walk away, we won't think any less of you.
It'll never happen.
We'll see. If you do need help, let us know. We'll see what we can do. We're in Shaftesbury. The hill points, town on the east of the Blackmore Vale. The old capital of Wessex.
Sounds good. How familiar are you with the area?
The Spear Wardens?
Yeah, very familiar with the area. Less so with the heartland you're about to be stepping into. We kept clear of the old woman. She may have been aged and by herself, but that doesn't mean she didn't have friends. Like the Kestrel itself, her old totem. We don't know what's become of that. We have no idea where the totem is now. And said she may have been old, but doesn't mean she was toothless. No need to pick a fight with her when she wasn't interested in fighting us. And the Pure didn't want to fight her over it either, so worked for us. That's going to change now you're in the middle. The Misgast and the Galley Crows will think they can come and take a bite at some point. I don't know how soon it'll happen, but gotta be ready for it. Kelly said you had a bit of a face-off with them in there just now.
That's putting it lightly.
I won't complain about worthy prey.
They're both dug in deep and been here a long time, so watch yourselves. Anything else we can do for you today? Because it's pissing it down, and frankly, I'd like to get back home.
No, that's... well, the one thing I will ask, you seem to know about the players in the area. Do you have any advice as to what sort of a worthy trophy we should bring to the meeting in 2 weeks?
She looks like, what? And kind of confused. And Kelly goes, the Pure have said they've set a challenge, a worthy hunt for the old woman's legacy to one of the old women. Bring something to show. I suspect if the new boys here don't have anything to show, I think the Ancheg will go straight for the throat. And they will not. Kelly looks at you, goes, they will not give you any fucking time if you've got nothing to show yourselves. If they think you're disrespectful and not worth respecting, they will come for you full force. If you've got something to show for yourself, they'll be more measured. Anyway,
it's gonna have to be big.
It'll be something. It'll need to be something that, doesn't have to be big. You're new. It doesn't have to. It needs to be something that shows that you put the effort in. Symphonia nods. We'll have to find something to throw down. Nothing too insulting. Unfortunately, we can't take any pure to throw down for it. That would be disrespectful to the old woman because she was one of them.
And I was thinking I might throw Jonathan's head on the table. Damn.
We'll have to think of something, but 2 weeks is fine. For us. More tricky for you. As I said, though, I imagine the territory is overgrown. A lot of things running wild. I doubt you'll be challenged to find. I doubt it'll be a challenge to find prey in general. You're gonna be spoiled for choice sake.
So, out of character, Chris, is there any sort of proof when you take spirits down? Because normally, you discorporate a spirit when you take it down, right?
That makes it quite hard to do this with a spirit, which may be intentional because it is pure, and they tend not to be so keen on randoms hunting spirits. No, if you want to show what you would need to do, if you want to bring a spirit as your prey of here, you need to beat the shit out of the spirit, and then either bind it, which you don't have the capacity to do, unfortunately, or force it to agree to basically to show itself spray. So you beat up, say, you're going to fucking come along with us, and you're going to stay, and you're going to make yourself presence, or we're going to really rip the shit out of you. It's one thing you could do, depending on how you, theoretically you could do this without violence. If you probably not, because you don't. If say you had a very clever Ithar, they might be like, aha, I shall trick a spirit into an agreement that forces them to manifest and say, oh, you caught me out, in even if it wasn't with blades and fangs, it's a challenge and a hunt. Obviously, you guys are fairly tooled up for killing shit out of things, so but what I mean is, showing the prey the trophy you've taken doesn't have to be, we killed the shit out of this thing.
Sure.
If it is a spirit that you have physically hunted down and beat the shit out of, you will need to convince it or force it to then turn up. But depending on how you do that, that might not be so hard.
What if it was an agreement for a spirit? What if we found a spirit who wanted us to take out another spirit? We take out that other spirit. Would then the spirit who essentially hired us, quote unquote, be eligible as proof of completion of taking down eligible prey?
Potentially, it would depend on the spirit in question. But yeah, if another spirit turned up and says, I say, and this is the truth, they did this, I am bound by the laws of the shadow, this is the, something like that, then if on the other hand a spirit of deception rolled up and goes, they totally murdered this guy, they're going to go, it's a spirit literally made of lies. Are they being honest? Probably not. So it'll depend a lot on what the circumstances.
So, an out of character then question, just to kind of follow up some of these other ones that have come up. So I have the loon as my spirit touchstone.
Mm-hmm.
How would I commune with said spirit? Could I say, hey, we need to prove ourselves? What would be, I'm assuming this touchstone is obviously from the area because I, changed here.
Yeah. It's a loon, so it can go pretty much fucking anywhere.
Right, so I would assume that it's at least somewhat familiar with the area. Would that be the kind of thing that I could tap into and ask it for maybe some guidance?
You could, and you totally should ask your touchstone for guidance.
See, I just didn't know if that was something I could. I wanted to ask you.
How sane the advice may be, I'm sure it'll be brilliant.
Oh, it'll be absolutely batshit crazy.
Perfect, no things that could go wrong. But the loon would certainly be happy to. Now, being a loon, it will generally only turn up at night. Because it's a Rahalunim, it will generally only turn up more likely under the full moon, but not only under the full moon.
What moon are we at? That's something I should have asked when we first started. But it's also daytime, so.
Everything actually reaching it slightly. You are okay. You're coming off. You're in the latter stages of the full moon.
Okay.
So yeah, it's turning up quite regularly at the moment.
Okay.
Anyway, if there's anything else you have for the spear wardens, then unless there is.
I would just ask them. I'm just gonna ask, and it doesn't have to be an in-character thing, that we set a meet so that we can meet their whole pack.
Yeah.
Maybe meet the pack. Get a tour of kind of the boundary, so we know what's theirs, so we're not stepping on them.
So meeting the whole pack, they're more cagey about, partly because they are, if you like, you get the impression their pack is a war band, and so when they turn up, they're generally like, "Let's fucking do this." So they're.
I want to meet their alpha as the unspoken alpha of Arc Pack. I want to meet their alpha.
They are willing to have some more meetings in the near future
and tour the border just so that we don't accidentally step on their territory.
When you talk about the border, Sophonia's like, you see, you get a bit more respect from her because you are clearly switched on to think about this stuff. So when you start going, because we want to get the border down, she's like, yeah, okay, we will sort that. That is something that they approve of, definitely.
Right. Yeah, I figured I was going to insult some elders. I might as well do something right today.
Yeah, no, they're very happy that you've said that and that you're paying attention to making sure that you know where the borders are, at least the theoretical borders. Yeah.
Right. We'll get some borders laid out. Look, if we need to cede some territory because it's a little too much for us to handle, at least we know where it was to begin with.
And then basically, as they are then sort of, she's then tightening up to head off to wherever they're going to get a taxi. Chalk Boy at the end is like, by the way, if you guys end up in trouble and you need some backup, just call me, all right? Just call through. I'll come around you and help you out. I'm sure there's got to be lots of things to fight around there, and I'm totally up to help you out. To do some stuff, take it down. He seems super keen for some reason to show that he's totally ready to fight shit.
I'm gonna grab him by the shoulder. You'd be wise to get approval from your alpha before you leave your territory to help us. Now go before you get yourself in trouble.
And then he heads off after Sophonia. And Kelly goes with them. Nods. I'll see you sometime soon, and heads off.
I was like, before Kelly leaves, I'm just gonna get his number and throw it in my cell phone.
Yeah, he's happy to chat. Mary catches you short after that. Says, I'm actually going to head home. But I'll tell you what, I might come round to this place, the estate, at some point. I've been there once before. I might come round in the next couple of days. But you got my number if you need to call me if you need help before then, if anything's up.
Thanks, Mary.
I'm very happy that you didn't kill anybody today. That's really good. Thank you. That's great. Really good.
We do what we can.
Okay, well, anyway, yeah. And then she heads off.
I was waiting with Albert.
Yeah, so there's a big, blocky Land Rover. Not a nice, shiny new model, like a solid old one. So Albert Brunswick, who was the guy who did a lot of the work around the estate, apparently, he is cut in the same vein as Kelly Carr. He is, a local man. Who, while Dorset has gone up a lot in its affluence over the decades, he is of the breed of Dorseter who has not gone up in the affluence. He's not a particularly rich guy. He's worked for your great aunt as the guy who, as from what Tongham said, he's the guy who basically did all the work around the place to make sure these didn't just fall apart. But it sounds like that really tailed off towards your great aunt's latter years. He is short, stout, wide, quite wide, powerfully built guy. He looks like he's in his 60s, early 60s. Quite hale and hearty despite his age, but clearly getting on a bit. He looks a little bit, despite his physical health, there is something to his pallor that is unhealthy. Like maybe it's not quite, but there's nothing smelling about him that smells of disease or infection. Obviously, you're in a human form, so you're not completely sure, but he doesn't smell unhealthy. He looks like the years have been quite heavy on him, but it doesn't look like it's just age. Like something's taken its toll from him, despite his otherwise physical robustness. He shakes hand. I'm Albert Brunswick. You're the great nephew. Right? But you've got the and these boys are your friends, are they? These are your mates.
They are.
Oh, get in the Land Rover and I'll drive you over there.
I'll take a seat in the passenger seat.
Sorry, I imagine it's all been a bit. If that's the case, I'm sure it's all been a bit of a surprise for you boys coming over here from the Americas, and all this happened in a short period of time.
And it is. The rain's taking a lot to get used to too.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of it around here this time of year. But don't worry, tomorrow it'll be sunny. Day after it'll be windy. Day after that probably snowing. No, I
Sounds
work
like Florida.
Yeah, well, I've never been. I've never been. I've never been to the Americas, or Europe for that matter, or Africa or Asia. In fact, I've never actually left Dorset. Now I think about it. Once I went to London. Once it was an awful place.
Not bad in the cities either.
Yeah. Anyway, I worked for Claris. I worked for Claris for many years. I was employed to, back in the old days, there were quite a few folks around who keep the estate and the gardens and the animals and all that in good health. Now, you know how it is. People, the years take their toll, not just on you, but on the people you know. And Clarice lost a lot of her old friends and family over the years, and I guess she cut down the staff roster over the years and over the decades, and these last few years it's just been me. Not even really coming in. I'd only come in a couple of times a month to deal with the worst things. The gardens have mostly been left out of control. The house, all I've been doing really is the essentials. To stop it, to stop the rot getting in and Of course, there's there's a few points to people dealing with the horses. Young Jenny. As well, nice kid, nice local kid helps with the courses. So I don't know. I understand someone else has got those. It's a real shame. They're good animals.
Those.
Yeah, your great aunt really took good care of the horses. She had some strange ideas about horse rearing. You got to say some strange ideas, but
such as
what to feed them and how to treat them. And some of the stuff. She travelled a lot when she was younger, apparently. She came back with things. Well, she says there's things things she got from overseas. I don't know. They don't look. I haven't travelled myself, but I've got the internet, right? I can see what things are like in the rest of the part of the world, and it's a modern age when we're all connected and we're all people, right? And it's not like everyone's all these old stereotypes of primitives and savages and stuff. I know that's not true, but so some of the stuff she's got, I'm pretty sure it's not from wherever she says it came from. But you leave her to her own her hobbies. She was the lady of the house. Wasn't going to question her, but anyway. She had quite a few old hobbies. Did you know your great aunt was a very talented glass worker? Strange hobby for a Linus woman, but
what kind of sculptures she would make?
Sorry?
What kind of sculptures she would make?
Oh, not just sculptures, just things. Very much lenses in particular is her thing.
Lenses.
Yeah, but she the house, Kestrel House, has got a lot of glass in it. And she was always very, very attentive to it in its state. I didn't, I said, I can clean the glass for you, ma'am. And she'd say, no, don't worry about it. It's not your problem. I got to say, she must have spent a lot of time cleaning glass in the house because it was always spotless. There's a lot of it. Don't know how she got up some of those ladders, to be honest. Anyway, point being, after Henry and Arabella Gleesham Sykes died, two of her closer family died in a terrible accident a few years ago. That's when she really stopped, doing much. And so I'm sorry if the estate's not in the greatest condition. I haven't seen all of it. There's some areas that were private. I never got into. But it won't take us long to get there. The roads over there are fine, and we'll be there soon. But it's a nice house. It's a nice estate. I hope. I don't know if you plan to keep it or sell it or whatever, but I'll be honest, it could really do with. I did my best for the last few years. Okay, I did my best. It's not in great condition. It could really do with a proper team of people, keeping the grounds up, keeping the garden up. There was some lovely old style topiary. That's mostly gone out of control because I just asked the old lady if she wanted. She said no, don't bother yourself, Albert. Don't bother yourself. So I never did. I didn't want to upset her. I said to her, I'll do the stuff for free, and she said no, don't bother yourself. I guess your great aunt was a lovely old lady, very kindly, very understanding. She had her funny ways. She'd be an old lady with her own ideas. I didn't really want to cause her upset.
Well, are you looking to help out for now? I understand you're technically only hired for the interim to get me settled, but it sounds it might take longer than that.
Well, young man, I won't say no. If you want some help, I can look into, there's plenty of work to be done. I hate to say this because it's not the kind of thing we like talking about. Obviously, Clarice paid me a fair wage, and so I offered to help her out free of various things, but I can't really make that offer for everyone all the time.
Absolutely, I understand.
But if you want to put the money into getting the estate into good order, I'd be more than happy to help out. No one knows it better than I do.
It's good to know. Appreciate it.
As you're driving down, passing the fields, you're going into the, you're in the Blackmoor Vales, rolling fields, cows everywhere, slight hills rising to the south, hills rising to the west, the occasional hill on the vale itself, and you're passing one there. It looks odd, almost standing by itself as a hill, and you can see the sculpted tiers around it of it being an iron age. It was a hill fort back in the day. Now it's just, you can see trees on the upper area, but old hill forts. Lots of lumps and bumps across the landscape, which again, barrows. There's just these ancient tombs with farms around them, and you pull off on the road, the main road following into an area it's more wooded. Drive down, you go over a broad river, and so that's the Stour. The estate is near where the Stour and the Kale meet. Sometimes there can be a bit of flooding. It doesn't reach up to the house, but some of the lower parts of the estate can get a bit water. Not from you're not right next to the Stour itself, but from the streams that feed into it. Obviously, it backs up and there's a bit of flooding. It's never been too damaging, but you got to watch out for that. And then down, and he gets out, stops something, opens a gate. The gate into the estate is not so. It's 2 stone pillars, and there's 2 stone stands on either side, which there was once presumably a really nice wrought iron gate on. There is not a wrought iron nice gate there anymore. It's a wooden affair, not crude or anything, but you don't know what happened to the original gate. The estate is walled and looks wooded inside. Drives you up the track. Once would have been a very nice gravel road, but a lot of the gravel has gone over the years. It hasn't really been maintained. And up ahead, you see Kestrel Hall emerge. It's not massive, If you've seen pictures of countryside British, Georgian mansions, they are sometimes quite fucking big. It is not huge. It's 3 stories. It's got essentially 2 wings you can see, but they're not enormous. It's not. You're not going to be rattling around an enormous space with dozens of rooms. But it's not insubstantial either. The gardens to either side are kind of ratty and overgrown looking. There's some nice, you can see some flowers and things growing in there, but it's clearly not been taken very good care apart from the central parts of the house. The house does not look in the best condition. Again, it's not like broken windows and patched roof. It's intact, but it's not been maintained very well beyond the basics. Some of the vine stuff cut back most places. You can see off to one side a glass house. Old, sort of Victorian era glass house, according to the gardens, and portion of the building itself. One of the upper windows, one of the upper ends of one of the wings is like a glass solarium up there.
Chris, just real quick, when you say glass house, are we talking
like a greenhouse?
Like a greenhouse, or are we talking like an arboretum?
More like a greenhouse than an arboretum, but not exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah. As you're coming up, a dog has perked up near the door and comes over and that's a gripper. That's the old lady's dog. I didn't really know what to do with him, to be honest.
Old gripper.
A gripper, like the Roman.
Oh, a gripper.
Okay. I reach out a hand, one of those. Let him sniff me.
Yeah. So as you get out across the gravel, the dog. Not like angrily barking, just excitedly barking. He's a collie by the look of it, and is very keen that there are people here.
I'm gonna reach down and pet him.
Yeah, very keen.
And then see if there's a stick that I can pick up and throw for him.
Stick. This is the best stick ever. He's bang out that stick.
Excellent. I have made a friend.
Not an old dog. This isn't some old woman's old hound. He's quite young, not a puppy, but right. A collie blitzes away and is off going. He's a good dog. He's lovely pup. But I didn't know what to do with him. I didn't know if you'd want him. He wasn't mentioned in the will, obviously.
If no one will take him, I hate to see him lose a home.
He's a good dog, Anyway, let me show you around the place. Okay, this is Kestrel. So it's Gleesham Estate. It's the name of the estate. Now Gleesham itself is just half a mile that way. It's the town. But the hall is Kestrel Hall. Now, they say it leads you up to the sort of steps. But it used to be there was an older family here back in the day, the Normans era. Anyway, and they say that family was cursed. He says with a very hamming it up, and they were beset with terrible illness, right? But then the Sykes took over in the 1600s, something, around the Civil War. After the Civil War, the Sykes took it over, and the Galloways married into the Sykes, and it's all that kind of stuff. Apparently, your family tree is some kind of crazed thorn bush, I tell you. Anyway, and after that, the curse was apparently lifted. So it was it used to be apparently they were all very sickly and ill around here, but it's never been a problem for the Sykes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And leads you in, and basically what you have inside is a hall with lots of stuff covered over in dust sheeting. It is a fantastic building. Like if the quality of the Georgian architecture here is fantastic. The building it's not been very well maintained, but its problem is more that it just hasn't been very well maintained, and it's not been it's been left just to do nothing. As Albert said, he's kept out stuff like the rot and things like this. He stopped things degrading. It's just whoever was living here just wasn't using most of the building.
Right.
You can smell the fading scent of werewolf here, of the great aunt's scent. She was obviously here a lot, but it's very much faded now. The scent of someone now gone. There's the motif in stone above the door, and once you're in, you see it like on the ceiling, on bosses' shields on the ceiling of the sort of heraldry, is a kestrel. The kestrel is a kind of, I don't know if you have them in America. They are a kind of hawk, kind of hunting raptor. They're not very big. They're quite known for hovering, and they used to be very, very common in the south of England. They're less so now. I think they might be endangered. But it's not quite a coat of arms, but the motif is of the kestrel. Let me show you around. These around. There's, it's a big old building. It's not huge. You haven't just lucked into somewhere that's worth squillions of cash if you sell it. But it would be worth quite a bit. But it's in the condition it's in. It needs a lot of work. There is a lot of the stuff. There isn't actually a lot in the house. There's some furniture covered in dust sheeting, but. As Albert explains, actually the great aunt had got rid of a lot of stuff over the years because she just wasn't using the place, and so she gave bits away to relatives or just sold them. So you're not sitting on a treasure trove of stuff. There are a few things. There's paintings. You start to see her glass work around the place as well. Often quite abstract designs of blown glass with various different colours. Some which you look at them, they just feel a little bit unsettling. Few old paintings of family members. Not ones you recognise, old paintings, not ones you recognise. Some old member of the Sykes family, and you can just see this man. There's like a man from the late 1600s in the painting with big ruffs and things, and it's holding this little staff, and on the top of it you can see is the little ivory claw symbol carefully scratched in subtly into the ivory at the top of the scepter that a human will not notice, but any wolf go, fucking ivory claws, man. It's not the obsessive level you'd expect from ivory claws of here is a picture of everyone in the family tree. There's just a few of them around. Most of the house as he's leading around seems relatively normal. Except relatively unused. And as he's going, he takes you down a corridor with one wall of which is lots and lots and lots of windows, like almost floor-to-ceiling windows. There's lead lining between the little panes, but they're glass, of light shining in now the rain's gone a bit. And the glass is all perfectly clean. Like, it looks like someone's been in here and been scrubbing away at it very recently. Albert doesn't seem to notice. He seems to simply accept that the glass here is very clean. But in twilight, you see, sort of, as you move down this corridor, something emerges out of one of the corridors leading to behind you. And it is a thing of fragments of glass, twisted bends of pale light, and motes of glimmering dust. A spirit in twilight has basically just peeked out. It doesn't really look humanoid. It's more of a swirling agglomeration.
So it's like a flash shards almost?
Yep, and as it slides slowly across to one of the nearby mirrors, and you feel the slight shiver as what little grime was on the window is Albert is not even paying attention. It's just sort of smeared gently away.
Whoa. Okay then. We have an OCD spirit here. Got it.
Or Auntie made deals with the spirit to clean the glass in the place.
The ahead of you, he comes to and goes, right, and now this is the Sun and Stars room. He hands you the big thing of keys, all the different keys, some old ones, some modern ones. Now, apart from the bits of the garden, there's not much else to say. The horse is paddocked down there, but again, that's, you can go and have a look at that later. But this room here is one of the ones I was narrowed in, so it's up to you. It's, this is one of the ladies' study, right? Anyway, the stuff in the kitchen works. The water's flowing. If you want to have a shower bath, there are beds. There's sheets and things, and it's all clean. It's just not used much. So I've shown you around the place. I'll head off for now. I might come over in the next couple of days, have a chat, see how you're doing. You want food for a gripper is down in the pantry. Canned stuff, nothing special. And I hope you all settle in okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the help, Albert.
Nods and makes his way away, and leaves you in this corridor. The day is growing on a bit now,
I look at the Sun and Stars room.
Yeah.
And then I look at Johnny. Well,
going in? Yeah, that's right. I did one of those snap and point at the study door type deals, and
yeah, you go up to, as you're doing that, the spirit behind you's been cleaning the glass, slowly fades. It just goes through one of you, peering at you slightly with shards, and then goes to the next bit of glass, carefully starts working, and you can see the dirt. It's aware you're there, but it's not.
It doesn't care.
It seems to be focused on cleaning the glass. You get the key out, key, open him. The Sun and Stars room is a 2-story room in this thing, so it's like one layer is ground with normal wall, and then up to a kind of platform level with glass solarium roof over the whole thing. And the platform level has a bunch of plants on it that are no longer in very good condition, because no one's been attending for a while. Books on one wall, what looks like a painting station, and like a whole array of glass on the wall, of glass works. It's quite elaborate. It's obviously where she must have spent a lot of time. The smell is much stronger here, and there are other smells as well, including the strange sandy smell you're now getting quite strongly, the weird one you had, a little bit of the chalky smell, and you can see in one of the places there's actually there's a block of chalk, like a big chunky block of chalk stone. It doesn't, like, as if a sculptor had taken it or something. It's not been touched. It's about 5-foot block of stone resting on a thing over there. The immediate thing that captures your attention, however, is the spirits in Twilight. 2 spirits, one a creature of burned, charred bone, the other of fire and glass, both in Twilight. The first one is it's a roughly humanoid, as if someone took a human body, burned several human bodies, burned the bones, smashed them up, and then put them together to try and form something vaguely humanoid with quite a few arms. The second, the thing of fire and glass, is a bellowing huff, like a pulsing huff of cinders and fire around threads, like almost organic-looking threads of glass that are shifting and flowing. Both of them sort of come down into your view straight away, as if they were not waiting, but they are immediately there on guard. And the first one, the thing of bone and ash, says in first tongue, "Intruders, halt!"
I stop and I look at Bill.
The glass and fire one says, "Where is the mistress? What have you done with her?"
Your mistress died of what we are told were natural causes, but we are not sure of the exact cause of her death. But Johnny Galloway, he gestures to Johnny, is now the owner of this estate.
The glass and fire one looks at you. So the bone and the charred bone one goes, "Intruders!" again, as if
that's all I can say.
The glass and fire one says, "You are an inheritor."
I am. Yes.
Will you stoke the flames? Will you work the foundry? To whom are you sworn?
Do you mean firstborn?
What? No. Are you? It's like it's having a hard time concentrating. You've seen. It's sometimes hard to tell with spirits. You think this spirit is fucking hungry. It's probably running very low on essence. The first one goes, intruder!
We have found group.
Can you take us to the furnace, I say?
You must retreat, or I will destroy you. I am bound to this task.
Bill takes several steps backwards out of the room.
The fire one, the one with fire and glass follows in, going, "Will you work the foundry? You are an inheritor."
I'm not much for crafty type.
I will work the foundry.
It immediately switches its focus onto you. You are an inheritor?
He looks at John and he looks back and he says, "Yes." Do I need to roll deception?
I was waiting for a Ghostbusters moment.
You must grant me. You must give me the right to access it. The bone and ash one goes, intruders.
I look at the bone and ash one. Would you stop?
Lead me to it, and I will give you access.
Yes, come with me, foundry worker. Says and it starts to just goes through the floor, and you think it's heading out towards the garden, towards the glass house. The other one, the bone and ash one, basically settles back in the doorway of the Sun and Stars room. Goes, I guard.
From what?
Intruders.
I point at Johnny.
You have no right to be here. You are intruders.
I point at Johnny. Owner.
You claim to be the owner. You claim to have the right to enter. He's yes, Johnny.
Your mistress left this property to me.
You are the new owner. Prove it. Yes.
Pull out a copy of the will.
I don't think it wants that kind of proof.
It reaches out with a hand. A portion of what makes up the head has rattled down to the hand. So it's like two hands, because it seems to be multiple dead body parts, even though it's not actually real dead body parts. I've got a skeletal burned hand. And teeth chatter down to the end, so the hand is like two hands clasped together with teeth.
Okay.
The writ is in your essence. It reaches, and it starts to slowly reach out to you.
I let out my arm. I'm assuming it.
Yep. It reaches out, and there is a moment with a crunch as it seems to become physical, and the teeth go into your arm. You take it basically bites you with its hand. If you accept it, you'll take 1 point of lethal damage, so that will regenerate in 15 minutes. And it also extracts a single point of essence from you.
Okay.
And there's there's a grisly crunch as the teeth like gnaw into your arm, and it pops free, blood dripping, and it seems to then return to twilight. And then it sort of twitches slightly, it's as if juddering overlays of itself for a moment, and then goes. My bindings no longer hold me here. The task is done. You are the new this is yours. Your blood says so. But I have no further duty here. And it starts to float away.
I'm glad to have freed you from your duty, spirit.
You think it perceives you. It's obviously not a very high rank spirit, but it's also not completely piddly, and it sort of drifts away through the wall. Presumably it was bound here to guard this place until your great aunt was dead, perhaps, and now it's gone. Legit, you appear to be the new owner. It's your blood says so I'm out of here, buddy. Meanwhile, Phil, you are following the spirit as it's gone out to the as it has gone out to the gardens towards the glass house. And I don't know if the others are going to follow you or not. Along the way, you pass briefly a in the stone of the stonework of part of the windows. As you pass one of these big windows, there's like a little dip, like a little. You know, if you go to an old church, there's a stone baptismal font, but like a very tiny one, in which is little shards of glass, which appear to have very dark, dried flecks of blood around them. And the spirit of glass and dust is looking at the bowl very mournfully, but otherwise doing nothing. As you pass that and you follow the spirit of fire and glass out into the garden among the tangle, looks like it's completely overgrown, but past that is this glass house. Now you can see, as you're coming from this angle, it looks like a bit like a greenhouse, but an old style design. Except one end of it is a workshop of some sort, glass wall, but there's like a chimney and the like. And looking from inside, it looks like it's the spirit sort of just floats and comes to the edge, doesn't go in. Inside, looking in, it looks like a portion of this glass house has been converted into a small glassworking workshop. You can see all quiet and dead, all the stuff for glass working, like the furnace and things like that. Various things, like a pile of spill, a pile of slag, and there's bits of broken glass in a bin. But there's also some more of the glassworks, or some glassworks rather, here. Some of which are much bigger than in the Sun and Stars room. There's ones that are like 6 feet tall, with strange fluting growths of glass that have been teased up. The other thing you immediately sense as you get to the edge of this, you are on the edge of a locus. There is a locus in there.
Can I tell how strong it is?
I'm going to catch up with Bill, but I'm far enough back that he had those experiences without me.
Yeah. You pass the glass and dust spirit looking at the bowl, the stone bowl, but obviously you're on your way.
Right.
Yeah, and as you come up again, when anyone who gets close enough to be almost at the glass house will sense that you're on the edge of a locus.
Based on the radius of it.
Investigate the study. I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I'm going to stay in the study and investigate it further.
Yep.
Can I tell the rough rank of the locust based on how soon I detect its presence?
Yeah, give me int plus occult.
Sure. All right, that is 3 is 5.
Just note, we'll be coming towards the end of today's session before too long, but there's a few more bits I want to cover before we finish up.
2 successes.
Okay. You are fairly sure that this is obviously in character the term, but it's a 2-dot locus.
Sure.
More than that, you think it is a resonance glass locus.
Okay.
Which is quite odd for a few reasons. You need quite an intense concept. Something like glass, you need quite intense to generate a locus here. You wouldn't expect it from a glass workshop alone of this size. It's too small. So there's something odd is here going on here. But yes, it's a 2-dot glass locus.
Mm-hmm.
The door's locked as far as you can see.
Okay.
Guess you would need me.
I'm going to catch up with him and jiggle the handle.
Yeah, it's definitely locked. Spirit looks at you, goes, "Grant me entrance."
I grant you entrance.
It looks at you. You get the impression that if a spirit can look at someone like they're an idiot, that is what it is doing.
I'm just going to try and force the door open.
Okay.
Like throw a shoulder into it.
Right. You slam it. One thing, as you get up close, one thing you notice is it's got first tongue sigils carved in the rim. There's nothing explodes or goes off, but now you look, someone's carved first tongue into it.
Okay.
And you can see it's basically a warning, not of this is going to explode, but like this is private property kind of thing. You crack, and eventually something gives, and you wrench, and some of the wood in the frame comes, and the spirit watches, but not reacting much, other than it's just observing, intent on what's going on, and you can smell. The sandy, strange industrial is from in here. The glass smell is from in here. The focus of it.
Does it smell, just real quick? Does it smell similar to what Johnny described earlier?
Yes.
Or tried to describe?
Yes. Okay. The focus of the locus is not on the glass workshop, however. As you step in, you can feel the wellspring of the locus of the power here. And the focus is, your attention is drawn down. The floor here is paved with paving stones. They are not cement laid, they're just laid and set. And the attention drawing you to the central one of those in this place, not to any of the stuff for making glass, just the center of the place.
I look at Bill. After you.
He raises his eyebrow and grimaces slightly, and then enters.
You wanted to run the workshop there, brother.
He turns back to the spirit to see if it follows.
It watches you intently.
Are you coming?
Do you grant me entrance now?
Yes, I grant you entrance.
It seems something has now been done that wasn't done before, which it's happy with, and it throws itself in, and throws itself like down into that paving stone. It doesn't sort of, it sinks partly into it, and flares and stutters in twilight as it absorbs some essence. Now it doesn't gorge itself. It doesn't like go, I'm going to drink all that shit. It takes probably a couple of points of essence, you think, and presumably whatever agreements it is bound under are binding what it can and can't do here, and it shudders, and the flames fan somewhat more, and it makes these ghastly cooing noises that sound like someone rattling a bag of glass and hitting a small dog at the same time, and the thing just gathers itself up again in this strange mix of glass and flame, and seems to sort of, as if sated, to subside a little, and sort of gently drifts slightly.
Spirit, what do we call you?
Sorry, there's a small baby again doing cute things. I'm momentarily distracted.
Obviously, I'm not asking for its true name. I'm just asking for what it would like to be referred to as. I don't want to insult it that way.
Cinders through illumination. It says in its first time name. It's Cinders through illumination. I served the wolf, but she has ended now, hasn't she?
She has.
It seems more cogent now it had some essence. I assisted her with her work here.
What work would that be?
The only work that matters. Glass, the creation, forging. The infinitesimal power of melt and flow, of coax and glow, of glimmering light twisted. It starts to wax lyrical about why glass is amazing, basically. It's what you'd expect from a spirit of presumably something to do with the creation of glassworks.
Right.
She made me. She coaxed me like glass. I grew from her work. She is gone. I am dying. It seems mildly concerned about this.
I look at Bill. You know anything about glasswork?
Would you mind staying here for a moment, Spirit?
Yes, I will remain here.
I walk out. I step out of the workshop knowing he wants to talk to me.
Okay.
What does the Spirit say?
again.
He stays for a moment, because the Spirit seems like it was going to say something.
No, yeah, it looks like it's going to... It looks like it's going to maybe ask something and thinks better of it. Do you think it's probably going to ask, can I have some more essence from the locust? Then just, decides just to deal with, not to push it.
I turn back to it and say, take another... I don't know what would you call it, essence, but yeah.
Take another sip.
Yeah. Help yourself a little more. And
draw a little more.
Dive straight for whatever's under.
Yeah, and then I walk outside.
Okay.
Let me guess. I'm in trouble again.
You're not in trouble. I have a vague suspicion that the thing that the stone water spirit is owed is that thing.
Ooh. That's a good possibility. It's a fair point.
She said that
something in here killed her.
She said Clarice was working on something that she wasn't sure if it was ready or not. And given that she supposedly birthed that spirit in there, that could be it.
Is there a possibility, if the spirit isn't ready yet, that the Grey Lady will expect us to finish the work?
I'm not sure. I just wanted you to be aware and starting to think about that.
I come back to, do you know anything about glassworks?
I can learn. I'm crafty enough, but...
Good, because I'm all thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
Up in the Sun and Stars room, Johnny's, you're looking around. Is there anything
I'm going to buy a quick while you do this.
Yeah, is there anything in particular you're looking for?
Does she have like a desk or like where she
Yes, there is a desk. It is quite an old style one, very elaborately carved with patterns that you're not familiar with. Don't really seem to match up with stuff around the house. They don't look like anything that matches. You don't go, oh, that's from Japanese style, or that's Spanish or whatever. They're just really quite odd patterns, slightly unsettling to look at.
Can I make an occult roll?
Yes, give me M plus occult.
1 second. Sorry, I closed down the character.
That's right.
Dum. Oh, wrong chat. I'm an idiot. Zero successes. Now I have a question, Chris. You can downgrade failures for...
You can dramatically fail to get a beat, yes.
I'm going to dramatically fail on this.
Okay, let me note down there's a beat added to the pool for that. Okay, so you're looking at this desk. You're like, what is it about this? What does it remind you of? Well, the way it almost looks organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
This desk, no, that's got to be it, right? This desk, visually, these things, it's got to match. You just, for some reason, like going, yeah, it's as if this place has been, it looks a bit, the organic look of it almost looks like you think of stalactites and stalagmites and that organic kind of calcification. Now, it's made of wood, right? But it looks to me like that. Maybe, is it linked to that, the white woman? Is it linked to what happened to Clarissa? To Clarice? Yeah, it's that, you're thinking that is the symbolism here, isn't it? It looks like someone has grown this table as if it was stone, essentially, formed and calcified. But now it's wood instead. This is something of the shadow, surely. You are convinced this table is meaningful.
Yeah, it's not the first time I'd latch onto something ridiculous. No, I like that rule where you can dramatically fail with a beat. So,
I'm back. Sorry about that.
No worries.
You missed it. I think a desk is super important.
You what?
Yeah, he dramatically failed his occult roll and has got completely the wrong idea about a desk.
He thinks the desk is important?
Yeah.
He thinks the desk is important, and he has got completely the wrong idea about why it might be important. There's the dramatic failure for you. Because you can't always dramatically fail stuff. You can't always, because it might be like, there's just no way to dramatically fail it meaningfully. But in this case, you have, and he's dramatically failed it in such a way that he has got the wrong end of the stick completely. But is convinced it's important.
Gotcha.
And at the same time, I earned a beat for the group.
Yeah.
Yay.
So what are you looking for up here?
So after my moment of idiocy, I look over. I look to see if there's any notes or like journals on the desk that she was keeping at the time.
It's been very carefully cleared away. There are carefully ordered there's ledgers of accounts and the state of the estate and stuff like that. There is nothing dubiously occult hanging around, unfortunately, but it's all very well ordered. As if for someone to come in, and if someone wants to come in and check over the books, it's all here for someone to come in and do that in a very other people friendly way.
Okay.
doesn't look like the kind of message you expect from someone who has their own systems personally. It's like she's specifically gone, right, I need to get all this in order.
Like she knew this was coming type deal.
Quite possibly. You sort of looking around. There's a few things. There's a looks like a painting easel that's draped over, covered over. There's a few things in the corner. There's a few large chunks of glass that are. They look like they're assemblies for something bigger. Like bits of them look almost like they're parts of a pipe organ kind of scale stuff that's been put in a corner, as if she'd made the parts or got the parts of something, but you can't see what they're supposed to be put into. They're laid there as if at rest. It's getting darker as well, as they go on. So there's a few other things to cover. So there's that. There's the place isn't an occult treasure trove, but you're looking up and it's like, oh yeah, there's something odd there. In the growing shadow, in the growing gloom, the metal of the solarium part between the glass is glowing faintly phosphorescent. Like as if you can only see it now because it's just dark enough.
Is there like a ladder or?
Oh, you can there's steps up to the platform.
Oh,
yeah, you can just sort of go up an iron. There's a wrought iron staircase going up.
I take steps up.
You got. It looks like not the whole thing, but portions of the thinner metal, but not the big ribs that are basically holding the whole thing up, but the metal between the glass. And you're pretty sure this isn't the case in the glass you've seen elsewhere in the house. You didn't notice it then. Is the metal itself, or coating on it perhaps, is faintly fluorescent.
Interesting. There's no way to get a closer look at the framework, right? There's like no.
You can literally go up and look at it, like. You can go to the wall and just have a look.
I didn't like. Okay, so it's the entire like dome type deal.
Yeah, the bits of the dome that are the bits that are important to hold the thing up structurally are just normal, but the bits that are between the little bits of glass are glowing.
Are there like any mounting points, like stuff that those glass pieces that look like they might be part of an assembly would fit to?
No, there certainly isn't. They definitely don't attach to this.
Okay.
You don't think?
Okay.
So anyway, cast around. If you dig around, the books are a very broad and varied selection, mostly from the early 1900s, but there's some older and some newer. The painting thing, when you pull the easel away, you get a moment, like a sense of shuddering. Something hackles on the back of your neck. And then it sort of goes. You look at the painting, it's like the what do you call it? The thing you paint on. The canvas is there is a painting there, except it is uniformly a blood red colour, and it looks like you touch it. It's an oil painting, but it just, the way it glistens from the oil makes it literally, it looks like wet blood. But it's not. You touch it, it's just oil. But the hackles on the back of your neck are not making you quite comfortable with this. Something's up here. And the other thing while poking around, you see the glass work, the glass flower that was mentioned in the will, that is supposed to go to Jonathan Dunstan, and you don't touch that. And werewolves can sense fetish items when they touch them. It's a fetish. You sense there's a power, there's spiritual power in it.
No.
Break it so he can't have it.
No, that'd be disrespectful.
I'm kidding. I don't think fetish items are that very easy to break anyway.
No, they're not. Can I communicate with the spirit in the fetish?
It's hard. It depends on the nature. The more essence you pump into it, the easier it is to do it.
I'm not willing to pump essence yet, so.
And as you're sort of poking around this place, there's odd things. There's some stuff here that it makes. There's a fetish there. Werewolf makes sense, right? There's also there's some unsettling things like these slightly fluorescing metal and the painting that appears to be just made to depict blood. There's also things that aren't here. She was an old ivory claw. Like she was a no shit elder. It's not so much that there's a specific thing isn't here. More, you expect there must be. more for a werewolf, and maybe it was destroyed, maybe it's been gotten rid of, but you kind of expect an ivory claw to have some kind of evil, mad laboratory filled with occult horrors, which obviously you haven't seen yet. I mean, you haven't been down the basement yet, but there's a faint sense that there should be more to your straight aunt's legacy. Anyway, as you're doing this, there's another shudder runs through you, and you look back. Maybe you look back at the painting. It's a thing that causes it, and you glance. And the painting shivers slightly, but in a very unnatural way. But there's another shudder that runs through you, and the painting shivering. But the sense you get, give me a wits plus occult roll.
Sure.
We're almost finished for the night. Oh, well, not for the night, for the afternoon or morning, wherever you are.
Don't suck. 4 successes.
4 successes. Okay. You look at it, and the shudder, there's a ripple of something washing through from the gauntlet, maybe, and it's not. The painting is reacting to it, but the painting is not the source. And as you look around and go, oh, the glass above you is. You are seeing some strange reflections, like if you look at a soap bubble, kind of prismatic. There's something. The glass is reflecting strangely. Something is washing through and stirring reality with weird phenomena, and every time it pulses you get this horrible shudder. Your own sense of vision starts to go kind of wonky, and that your sense of distance is starting to twist. Being a werewolf, that's not even slightly a problem for your general navigation of things. Your senses are full on, but visually there's this odd distortion going on. A few other things around the room start to rattle and shake, and you can see they are. So it's like, wait, that bag of something up there is shaking, so that's probably something weird. But again, they're not the source. They're reacting to whatever's going on here. And as you are, getting your footing amidst this, you look, a shadow of something washes across the glass briefly. Now,
can I Dalu form?
Yep, absolutely. As you shift up, Jack and Bill down in the greenhouse, in the glass house. Looking back, the other part of the glass house is sort of wilted plants that haven't been tended, for however long, so they die off. You're sitting there. The spirit was drank at a point, was just sort of hovering there. Then there's a shudder. You feel a horrible, your hackles go up, and the spirit reacts as well, and it sort of judders and reforms itself of glass, and it immediately starts backing away at fair speed from the locus. And there's another shudder. And you look around the glass house, the glass refracts weirdly around you, as if something, the reflection of a reflection passes across the glass, and the locus, the heart of the locus, starts to shiver and warp. The very air itself is twisting, as if heavy heat haze is boiling up. There's no heat or anything, but there's that odd distortion around the center.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit gives a panicked shriek and sort of heads away high speed. It doesn't seem to be. It seems to be panicked, essentially, but it's probably not a very powerful spirit. So the locus in front of you is starting to warp and distort weirdly, but nothing appears to be coming through. No spirit is just coming through it. But in the physical world, you are seeing real phenomena distorting around the glass house. Your sense of perspective is going slightly off. The glass, the reflections are warping unpleasantly, as if a shadow of something is passing overhead.
How do we perceive through the gauntlet again?
You can extend. It's not a. I think you can just stick your sense across normally. If there is a heavy gauntlet, you'd have a problem. But you're in a locus, so there's no issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so I'm gonna choose however many senses you put across.
I'm gonna put my sight and hearing.
Okay. Firstly, boom. You are looking across with perfect clarity into the gauntlet's place, and the gauntlet of this place is wonky as fuck. Overhead, the sky, the clouds shimmer and burble through with a lavender light from beyond. You see the dancing silver of loons gathering. Trees gnarled and buckled up rise around the estate. The building is weirdly distorted and crunched. You can see faces pockmarking down some of the supporting areas of the stone. The glass house around you is weirdly bulbous, organic, and a mockery of the physicality here, with threading growth up from the ground of artifice and glass. The glass, it looks like almost cancerous tendrils of glass going up. Around at the center, the glass house's the locus itself is not a direct reflection of the workshop. It is a smouldering crater of such impact that it is as if something hit so hard it's glassed the area.
Okay.
And it's cracked and broken and still seething with energy. There are spirits, strange forms, capering and twisting through the air and across the land. Outside, inside this bubble, apart from the steaming essence of the crater, it is completely calm and safe. And in fact, you almost get the impression that this glass house is like a fortress in the shadow. It's defended, it's warded. You can see through it the warp shape of spirits beyond that. No fucker dares come in here because presumably they know what the fuck would happen to them if they did. And then you see the really alarming thing is the same distortion as is happening in the physical world is happening in the shadow, as if the shadow is not the origin, at least not directly.
I'm describing this to Bill.
Yeah, the locus.
And I give a little shudder when I realize that that's what's happening. Is the reflection of the real and the gauntlet are doing the same.
Pressing into the locus, but it is not from the shadow you can see or the flesh you're in.
Okay.
Can I extend my senses, just vision on my end, to the shadow?
You are in an old wolf's den. A den of artifice, a den of flowing silver and blood. You were wondering where your aunt was hiding her shit? She's hiding it in here. We'll probably get some of the details of that next time, but it is the shadow of the sun and stars room is bathed in sickly light, like the fluorescence of things, but amped up much more. And it is a strange sight you see in there. You two in the glass house, the physical pulses are getting stronger. Something is pressing in very strongly. You can't see what, because you can't see the actual keystone of the locust. There's a physical paving slab in the way. Looking in the shadow, something at the bottom of this crater, roughly matching to where the thing is in the flesh, is like the glass is bulging and starting to take shape of some form.
I'm going to switch to Urshul.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to sniff to try to get some additional information of what we're dealing with here.
Okay, +3 bonus to perception roll.
Alright, so it's 8 dice for me.
Yep.
Ooh, what did I do? Oh,
it's not +8, it's equals 8 there, son. Apparently he's casting Harry Potter spells.
4 successes.
Yeah.
Good old JK. Actually, no, shame on JK, but that's a whole other story.
So 4 successes.
You keep getting just shy of the 5 for the exceptionals, unfortunately. Right, you sniff, you should breathe in. The smell of the glass thing has ramped the fuck up. And some of the weirder smells with the aunt, you were smelling around the great aunt has incredibly increased. There is something else underneath it, something that spells. It is spiritual, you're pretty sure. It smells like the shadow, but according to Jack, it's not coming from the shadow, at least the shadow you can see. Something powerful and almost animalistic, but the smell's not quite right for that, and glass, and something is your eyesight is starting to have issues, but your senses are compensating. There is something powerful, like spiritual. You can smell essence bleeding in, and the resonance, the essence you're picking up is glass and eyes and sand and heat and impact and stasis and something like sparks, something like amber, weird melange coming through. Now, can I have for Jack a
I was gonna shift to use my hearing through the gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's gonna matter to you.
It's that's fine. You already said you had it across already, so you can hear this.
Okay.
You can hear the cracking of the shadow stuff glass. What I would like from you is a stamina plus resolve roll. This is a roll to resist an effect.
Okay. Dan, I'm just going to apologize now if I rage on you.
That's what willpower is for.
Bam! Exceptional.
Exceptional.
We got one today.
Okay.
We got one of those today.
Yes. Okay. Well, the beat goes in the pot. The exceptional effect I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you an option, basically, for this. You're perceiving through the lens of the gauntlet, which changes the nature. It adds symbolism to your sight. You know, you are not simply looking somewhere. You are looking through the barrier between worlds to the world that is a reflection of this. There's a recursive symbolic thing going through. You know, a lot of it may be a bit above your head, but the power is real. At the bottom of the locus, in the shadow, the glass cracks and puckers and peels open to reveal an eye of glass staring at you. You don't hear this because your hearing's on the shadow side. So
no, I moved. I did my vision and hearing through the gauntlet.
That's what
my
I mean.
Sense of smell and everything was on the other. Oh, okay. This is happening in the real.
In the physical world,
got it.
Bill hears a cracking sound from under the paving stone. As well, you like a crack and a split as if something is splitting open and glass cracking, but you don't see anything because there's a pavement slab on top of it. So in the shadow, you see this eye roll and look, and literally, it's huge. It's at least 2 feet across. Or you get the impression, no, there's a lens, and there is a massive, massive eye on the other side, like an aperture that it's looking through, and you're seeing a refracted version of that eye peering at you as it swivels and locks onto you. There is a moment of intense pain in your eyes as you feel this is the essence in your eyes reacts badly to this. You both physically and with strength of will fight down the urge, but you feel for a moment a connection forge.
Okay.
If you now, as a reminder, this will not be permanent if it happens because you are a werewolf and you can regenerate. You have the choice. You've completely resisted the effect of the eye's gaze.
Okay.
But if you want to, you can open the connection to the eye and see what you will see things. You can sense the power of this perspective peering at you. The consequences of that happening will be, at least in the short term, quite bad for your eyes.
Okay.
But you will see things.
Jack was a bit of a party kid in college and probably dropped some mushrooms. So we're gonna open up the connection and see what the fuck happens.
You look into
and this is gonna hurt.
Looking to you. You look into it and you know it is the power of the shadow is here, yet somehow it's not in the shadow you can see normally. Where is it peering through? What is it seeing? Your mind begins to flood open with a sense of new perspective, a sight that is not yours, things you see that you are not seeing, but you know. As intense pain builds in your eye sockets behind, the pain is absolutely head splitting, but you are like someone has just jacked your brain in to and turned the hose pipe of knowledge on, and you are guzzling it like a madman. The pain rises. And where we'll leave it today. So as Johnny's looking into this, the ivory claw lair in the shadow and going, wow, I think my aunt was up to some fucked up shit. Jack is seeing things beyond sight, pouring into your eyes, and the pain rises to a crescendo. And in the flesh,
they bleed.
Bill looks at his packmate who is staring, and like eyes beginning to bleed, and with a crack, his eyeballs explode.
Oh!
And there's like a bam as a spray of blood, and the inside of part of this glass house suddenly splashes with blood. And in a moment, the grinding cracking from beneath the locus and the power that's washing up just stop. And in the cold aftermath of whatever has just happened, there is silence and stillness that is not the stillness of calm, but the stillness of an aftershock and fear as you look across to your packmate who has gaping bloody eye sockets. And we will reveal what it is that Jack has seen next time. Oh dear. And we're going to finish up today. There'll be some damage. So
for the next couple of weeks, Jack is going to be wearing a bandana across his eyes, or a really low pulled hat.
No, it's fine. It's just your eyeballs exploding. You'll be fine. You are currently double. You've got the full blinded tilt on you. That's not a big problem for a werewolf. You can still function, just not your sight. However, it's linked to damage. When the damage heals, the blinded tilt goes. I will figure out how much damage it is. It is not aggravated damage.
Oh, good.
Which means that it will probably go before too long. But right now, your eyeballs...
For a couple of hours, I can't see shit.
...is decorating the inside of the glass house.
Fantastic.
Let's sort XP now. Let's talk about aspiration. So we get 3 beats in the pot because all of you were here. So let's start working down the aspirations. I don't know how many we have hit. We'll start with Keith.
Just real quick, we got 2, one for my exceptional success and one for Pete's exceptional failure.
And you get 3 more for things. So there's 5 in the pot so far. Keith, did you hit or make significant progress towards any of your aspirations?
So the only one I can really think of. Let me just. Where are aspirations? I'm not seeing them now.
I can't remember what you
first page under.
I had them. No, I was looking on the sheet where I wrote them down.
Yeah.
So we didn't really make any steps towards getting a pack totem.
No, unfortunately not this time.
We certainly did not, although while Bill was certainly prepping himself for a sacred hunt, we haven't really moved towards that, I think. No. Dan, unless you want to make an argument for that?
No, no.
The one I will say that definitely triggered, I think, for Jack was essentially spitting in Jonathan's face and claiming this as territory.
Yes,
which I was going to
territory. Yeah,
I was establishing territory. It's not really ours yet. We haven't marked it. We haven't really explored it yet. But I basically pissed in his face and said, "This is ours."
Definitely.
So that one I would say I definitely made a step towards.
Yeah. And you've got the estate itself as well now. So, that's absolutely there. So on there, Pete, what have you got? How many? It
would be the same one as Keith. Towards establishing the territory, I'd say. Made progress towards.
Oh, you had that one too, Pete?
It makes sense.
Yep. Okay. And Dan?
My last one is earn more glory in the form of essentially notoriety. So I don't know that I hit that one for this one. Just to sort of review with the people watching, we're actually doing sort of a house rule modification for experience gain, where it's a group pool of beats. And when we hit enough, when we hit 15 beats, which is enough for everyone to get 1 experience, then each of the players gets 1 experience.
Yeah. Unfortunately, obviously there was a certain amount of setup this time to get things rolling, so I wasn't sure how much time we would spend. There was a question of how long do you want to spend pissing off the pure and things like that. You guys
I think I pissed their Purios enough.
Pissing about with them. I am actually going to give you a beat each for the Sacred Hunt thing. Not because you've made a significant step forward for it, because you ironically, because you went and pissed in the Pure's Cheerios until they said, right, fuck it. Prove it, you fuckers. You've got to hunt something. So because of that would be another 3 beats. So we are at 10 beats total, which is short of getting enough to get an XP for everyone, unfortunately.
Significant.
But there is so 10 beats, so another 5 beats will be enough to get you an XP. Werewolf has a funny thing with XP in that sometimes what happens is when you start to get XP, you start to generate it really quite fast. When you do sacred hunts and you're doing lots of exceptional successes, or you got home senses, you start to just fucking spew beats everywhere. When it kicks off, you get fountains of the damn things. So you tend to have a bit of a slower pace, especially because they was very role-playing focused without so many dice rolls. I mean, you had a couple of very close ones to getting 5 successes and getting the beats there anyway. So we are unfortunately shy of getting an XP each just yet, but in a way I think that's okay because you get to settle in the characters a bit more before you start spending XP. I'm almost certain, you guys will certainly hit. Next time you'll hit 15 at least, and you'll be getting at least 1 XP at the next session. At the end of that, so 1 pack member's eyeballs have exploded. You've got a locus and a pack part under pack territory. You've made tense friends with some Forsaken and tense enemies with some Pure, who've decided they want you to prove yourselves worthy, or they're going to come and try and kick your sandcastle over. And things haven't gone too horrifically badly wrong in general,
Yet.
I imagine next time we'll start to see a lot more movement towards things like trying to sort the totem out, getting familiar with your territory. As I said, sorry that it took a while to get things sort of rolling in that direction this time. It's sort of the setup. I wanted to help lay the groundwork for things going in. I'm not rushed in this story. I don't feel like, well, we've got to get this story done in X many sessions. So I'm not going to be like, oh, come on, move. But
sure.
That is the end of the first session of The Hunt, named because for what is hopefully now increasingly obvious reasons. And Next time we'll see if the as yet unnamed pack can make progress, get themselves totem, get themselves a target for their hunt, and how well they deal with the aftermath of someone looking at your Rahu so hard his eyeballs exploded, and what he has seen himself.
I was about to say, I feel like this is one of those when the abyss stared into Jack, Jack stared back.
Jack went, "I'm looking right the fuck back then. Come on."
I ain't backing down, bitch.
Yep, and it's werewolf, so eyeballs exploding is a temporary setback.
Par for the course, right?
Yeah.
I like that it's a temporary setback.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You walk it off. I mean, in fact, you don't even suffer much in the way of penalties for having no eyeballs because you're a werewolf, so your wolf senses kick in. But, you know, these things happen, right? You know?
So Jack's going to trip over a few chairs the next time he has to go to the bathroom. I mean, what do you want?
Yes. So, anything else from you guys before we finish up then? Anything else?
I did have one quick question. So I know we've talked about the manors in kind of disrepair or what have you. Like I know, Dan, I think Bill has some points in crafts.
Correct.
Okay. Pete, does Johnny have any points in crafts?
No.
Okay. So Jack is all thumbs, right?
Yep.
Is it going to be something that we would need to invest in crafts if we wanted to fix the place up, or like is crafts not like just general household repairs type stuff?
So there's some level of household repairs you can do without crafts.
Okay.
Right? There's a certain level of it you can do. You don't need crafts. There's some you would need crafts for if you do it yourself. But obvious options include paying someone else to do it, or and someone else is quite a broad selection. You've seen this glass and dust spirit going around cleaning the house, so presumably Clarice had an arrangement with a bunch of spirits to do shit for her. So you have quite a few options for how you fix things up if you choose to, and it's not just, and those options go beyond buy craft dots.
Okay.
Sure.
I was just wondering how much we would need to invest in that if we do decide to fix the place up or leave it in haunted house-esque fashion as we go.
It'll depend on what problems you discover and how you choose to tackle them, basically.
I was like, because if we get into a fight with the Pure here, there's going to be broken glass everywhere.
Probably more than just broken glass. Yeah.
Broken glass and pure body parts.
So for those of you tuning in, this is going to be a regular thing that we're going to do here on the Paleo Gaming Twitch channel. Roughly every Sunday, we'll make announcements if for some reason we aren't going to be streaming on a given weekend. But the plan is to do this on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with this same cast of characters here. Again, a big thanks to Chris for being the storyteller for this game, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.